And you're welcome. Good morning, every single person out there. Welcome to today's show. Now, it's a very special one because this morning it's the penultimate show for Breakfast Extra, and we're going to open the show up on a somber note. Today, we would like to pen our goodbye notes to 2025. No, it's not a letter to Nigeria this time. It's as the year draws to an end this coming week, we will have no more weekends tagged 2025, but still carry with us the scars and the medals that it left us. So, if I was to be chosen and given the grand privilege to represent every single Nigerian, these would be the words that I would choose. It will go like this. Dear 2025, we didn't ask for miracles from you at the start of the year. We only asked for calm. For a year where Nigeria could wake up without scanning headlines like medical reports. No, that was 2020. But instead, you wrote to us every single morning with screaming capital letters. This was the year America discovered Nigeria, and no, it wasn't Christopher Columbus. This time it was Trump, and for a moment it felt like our pain finally had a passport. It felt like we're finally getting the help we needed from friends in more developed countries. Why, they came, they saw our plight, and they said to us, well, we'll take particular concern in your plight, but from a distance. So while that's happening, here's a ban on visas to all your nationals for the next 180 days. 2026, or rather 2025, it was also the year abductions in the north became routine, announced like weather updates every single morning. 150 kidnapped, 4 dead, and a chance of rescue. Today, high cases of banditry in Zamfara. Tomorrow, a touch of religious abductions in Kogi. Our children, well, they were reduced to statistics. Our prayers forced into overtime. 2025, you turned defections into a national league. Governors cross-carpeting with the speed like we've never seen before. For a second, it looked like transfer windows were opening everywhere, left, right, center, but mostly to just one team. And eventually, we discovered that in Nigeria, it wasn't how well you knew how to govern that could secure your continued stay in politics, but it was how well you knew your APCs. We're told that it was ideology. No. What we could hear was ambition, was survival breathing behind every single campaign microphone. And Rivers State, well, it became a long-running drama. Governor Fubara and Nyesom Wike locked in a battle that felt like, governance. Well, not really. It didn't feel like governance at all. It felt more like a custody battle between estranged parents. Then came the emergency rule, Rivers State, to be taken over by an administrator, not as a solution, but as a reminder that politics in Nigeria is still allergic to restraint. A period which saw the state flip allegiance immediately after the governor took back office. But we knew that was coming. We weren't surprised. We had expected it. 2025, you teased us. Yes, you did. You teased us with Nnamdi Kanu's trial, always approaching, never coming, like footsteps that seemed to come but never arrived. The country suspended in legal limbo, counting adjournments like birthdays. We watched Nigerians march under a banner of end bad governance. Young people finally finding the courage to shout without checking the price first. And that price, for some of them, the cost of freedom and free speech, oh, it was very, very costly. For some of them, it cost them their lives in some cases. Oh, and remember Godwin Emefiele? His trial revealed how it turned public funds into real estate listings, housing estates, a national audit disguised as a property tour. And of course, the Lagos State Assembly joined in the foray, the performance, turning leadership into musical chairs, while Lagosians were wondering exactly who is driving this bus. One thing was certain, Mudashir Obasa wasn't to be messed with because he knew his APCs well to weather that storm without any effort at all. So yet we are here, 2025. We're bruised, but we're still standing. So I would like to write you this goodbye with instructions for 2026. Here are our demands. what we're asking, 2026, please let global attention become local accountability. Let abductions end as a story Nigerians are tired of telling. Let party politics rediscover principle, not just destinations. Let Rivers State find its true rhythm, not gladiator arenas. Let judicial cases meet closure, not suspense and disruption. And let protest energy become policy reforms, please, we beg. Let stolen wealth finally look embarrassed in court. And let legislature remember that power is not possession, it is responsibility. So, goodbye 2025. You were heavy, you were chaotic, you were unforgettable, but you did not finish us. In fact, we finished you, because here we are. Every single Nigerian still standing tall and doing what we've been trained to do best. Be resilient. So to everyone watching, I say, hey, welcome to the final weekend of the year 2025, and welcome to Breakfast Extra. Yay! But then again, we're not done. Let's welcome Judith, the TB, my co-host, who would be doing this journey for the next 3 hours together. Judith, do you have any final words for 2025, or should we save it till your monologue for tomorrow?
Well, I think I do have awards to give out. Persons of 2025. That's going to be my monologue for tomorrow. The notable people who surprised us in 2025, or who showed their true color in 2025. That should be it. But yeah, there's one thing for certain. We did finish 2025 instead of it finishing us, and we're excited and we're thankful. Good readings to bad rubbish.
Well, there were some good moments. There were some good moments. I mean, we opened an Abuja office. Yay!
Oh, I thought you were going to say nationally. I mean, local. Yeah.
We'll take it any way we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, here at News Central, we broke new frontiers. I mean, we got our Go TV channel. We did fantastic numbers, broke our quotas, and also went as far as opening an Abuja office. So, I mean, yes, we did that. But on national level?
Yes, indeed. I think we'll take it from there. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome. This is Breakfast Extra. My name is Mazino Appeal, and I'll be joining Judith, the TB, and we'll be bringing you such fantastic conversations here on. Welcome.
And you're welcome once again to Breakfast Extra for you, the last Saturday for the month of, for the entire year of 2025. And of course, that monologue by Mazina pretty much just set the tone for the show today. But first, we will begin in Maiduguri with a closer look at the mosque bomb explosion that left worshippers dead and injured. And we're going to be asking what it says about insecurity and emergency response in the northeast, precarious times we're living in. And from there, we also move to Balogun Market here in Lagos State, the commercial capital of Nigeria, where another major fire has wiped out goods and livelihoods as well, and also raising questions similarly about safety, preparedness, and prevention as well. Now, this is not the first time we're seeing fire outbreaks of this scale in Balogun Market. We also plan to review Nigeria's political year as well. Here, like I said, Mizuno set that tone. And so we'll be examining how reforms, defections, and emergency rule has shaped public trust in 2025. And from there, we'll shift our focus to the 2027 race as fresh statements from Governor Seyi Makinde reignites debate about party loyalty and opposition strength. And then finally, we draw the curtains where we will stick around and just close up with some festive mood. We're going to be in a celebratory mood at our last hour, and we're going to be asking, how are you enjoying this season? And we're also will be exploring the side of football as well, as fans are celebrating the first Christmas at Nigerians or Super Eagles will be celebrating their first Christmas ever at the AFCON 2025. We'll also be looking at business and what people are saying on the streets regarding everything in between. So, as always, would ask you to please stick around with us as we get started officially on the show. And as usual, we'd like to start with the dailies.
Hang on. The dailies? You sound like you've been having fun all weekend now, don't you?
I wish. I've not been. I wish. I would take it, but it's been grueling mentally for me. I'll leave it at that. Yeah, I wish it was exciting, but it was not.
Well, let's talk about last weekend. Last weekend, I said to you that Dirty December is not as big as what it used to be, and I'm wondering whether, for now, you've come to see that I was correct.
Nope.
Not? Okay. We've still got.
Have you seen people begging JGBs to go back? Yo, listen, I got a text message on my phone.
She's going to read a text message.
Yeah, I got a text message on my phone.
Let's hope it's been redacted.
Yeah, it's going to be, of course. Hey, come on now.
What is this and who is it from?
No, I'm not going to say that.
Okay.
And then it goes, Merry Christmas, lovely. I said, you forgot about me. Merry Christmas. I said, never. After this IJGB go back, we should hang out for a drink. I said, I'm holding you to it. And he goes, you better.
So I guess it's going to be a very different kind of January then.
Yeah, this is time for us to... An obole denied is not an obole withheld. I don't know if that makes any sense.
We'll work on it.
So you say it's an obole.
Thank you, Maver. Obole delayed is not an obole
denied. There we go. That's my mantra for January.
That's a thing. That's a thing everybody's coming up with.
Obole.
Okay, interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do the papers now. But yes, let's see who or how we're starting. Let's start with, if I'm not mistaken, the Saturday Independent. Saturday Independent's got this big front headline: Faith under pressure. Why population of worshippers may double at religious centers in 2026. I'm wondering exactly how this is going to happen. Must make for a good weekend read. To the side of that, on the Saturday Independent, Mahama hails Oni of Ife, reaffirms respect for Yoruba tradition, Pan-African unity. Exclusive: how I took a journey into Yoruba soul with Masoyimbo. Olalekan Fabilola says. At the top for Saturday Independent, Nigerian scholar Kanu Ama reimagines multilingual classrooms with studio model. And Akpabio optimistic banditry will be defeated in 2026. Did you hear about the airstrike, the one in conjunction quote with the United States? I have so much in reserve on that one. FG secures USD. That's $1.26 billion financing for Sector 2 Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway project. We have secured it in dollars now, have we? That was quite speedy. And U.S. strike on terrorists communicate effectively to Nigerians, PDP tells the federal government. I've always said that the only problem that we have in Nigeria is communication. When you're doing something good and you do not communicate, then you're doing something bad. When you're doing something bad and you do not communicate, it's pretty much the same thing. And that's why the citizens never get to see whatever it is governance is, because of that lack of communication. Simple.
Yeah, because if you look at the media team of the presidency, their approach is always combative and aggressive. It's never been collaborative and open, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so it's always been the same. Policy communication is always a poor thing we've seen across all administrations in this last dispensation. Let's switch gears, shall we? We're from Saturday Independence. Let's pull up This Day newspaper, shall we? As we pull up This Day for you. Going back on January 1st, takeoff for new tax laws. The federal government insists National Assembly directs clerk to re-gazette new legislations. Tax reform facing legitimacy test, says Sea Dogs. You can find that story on page 5 of This Day newspaper. Award Jagbo Nwabushi's passing sparks fresh concerns about sudden deaths. That story as well is on page 5 of This Day newspaper. Lukarawa terrorist group target of U.S. airstrikes, says Tambowal. You can find this story on page 5. Idris Tugor, U.S. used 16 GPS guided precision munitions on terrorists in Sokoto. Tinubu, new approaches toward tackling insecurity will bring desired results. Sokoto government can Afenifere security experts back renewed onslaught against terrorists.
Can we talk about this for a second here? Because I told you that I had plenty in reserve regarding
go ahead.
Look at our terrorist group targets of U.S. airstrike. Now, President Trump came out on his Truth Social to make an announcement on Christmas Day, on the Christmas Day bombings, he called it, and he called it vindication for Christians. But here in Nigeria, while it's the same bombing, we are framing it very differently. We're framing it as against terrorists, against bad elements. We're not saying it's against, any religious terrorism.
Right.
And that framing, for me, the two diverse framings are a very disturbing mixture. Because
how
what it's
so?
going to do here in Nigeria is make it seem like it's a war against Muslims. Or Islam, and that's not the case. But the way it's been framed internationally, which is louder, makes it seem so. And that's what I mean about communication. We are not doing enough when it comes to communication as Nigeria, and this has every tendency to go left. And I hope that it doesn't turn into a religious thing, because once it's framed so by the US and it's propagated so, that's propaganda, it's going to become so. The loudest voice is who takes the room, unfortunately.
Right. The attacks are on ISIS. That's what they say.
Aha,
right?
And that's another thing, ISIS. But here, again, it says Lukarawa terrorists.
Right, so Lukarawa are all sects of, so they're all sects of ISIS and radicalized jihadist group, right? So Lakurawa, forgive me, I
think I made that mistake
it as well, forgive me. So whether it's Lakurawa, whether it's Boko Haram, they're all radicalized sects of ISIS, and all they borrow, and they have leanings to the same ideals that they have. And so the issue, I don't think it's from this attack. I think the issue has always been the way the US has framed this narrative of protecting Christians and the Christian genocide that they have labeled Nigeria as a country of particular concern. Now,
and recalled the ambassador, which I don't understand exactly why. Just days before an airstrike.
Now I think you see now. I think you see why now. I mean, even years before, whether 2023, 2021, we've always seen that circular where American embassies would always put out circular to their citizens and Americans to say, you cannot be in certain areas, we have intelligence, you can't do this. So they've always done that. So it wasn't surprising that they would pull the ambassadors back, but then we understood why. And if you look at intelligence, whether it's from SBM Intel's good guys from there or Truva or the rest, they'd said that they're, from all indication, from all the body language and the way he had framed the President Trump, that there was definitely going to be drone attacks here. But what we're now seeing, strikes here, right? And what we're now seeing is that they missed their target, right? Because there was a strike in Offa, Kwara State. And we don't know what that is. There's still more information that's trickling.
Perhaps there's no communication on that, so we can't.
So the unclassified info that we have is that they sort of missed their targets, right? And so one thing is clear. If the Nigerian government had not left their house open, would not have been here. If they had solved this issue and been at the forefront of this from the very beginning, as far back as 2014, 2013, 2012, when we started seeing Boko Haram and the bombs going off in churches and mosques, we wouldn't be here. And I cannot help in my brain, and I hate that I'm putting on this tinfoil hat of conspiracy theory, that just around the time the strike was going to happen, a bomb went off in a mosque.
It's a conspiracy theory, you might call it. So a lot of people might agree with things that you say, but it's diverse. It's diverse. Before we move on to the nation, I just wanted to say that the timing is also very disturbing. That you put it on exactly Christmas Day. It makes it seem like a Christmas victory, which makes it seem like a religious war. And that's not a very good posture for Nigerians. Maybe for you outside the country, but for Nigerians, bad posture.
And look, you very, very solid concerns and pertinent issues that you raise, because the Nigerian government has showed over and over again they cannot seem to protect all of its citizens. And when I say that, I use that very loosely for anyone comes from my head, because time and time again it is shown. We've seen more people in internally displaced camps. We've seen how they've handled issues of terror attacks, whether in Muslim or Christian communities or combined communities. We've seen that happen over and over again. And so the issue here is, if you are saying that you're protecting Christians, what happens after? This only attacks, only emboldens them to actually go after those communities. So are there going to be soldiers there? Would there be, security forces there?
Look,
so that's it. Yeah.
We still got headlines like that inside of the nation for this morning, for a Saturday. More strikes await terrorists as details of Sokoto attack unfold. FG Sokoto bombed because its assembly staging grounds for ISIS. 16 Tomahawk missiles unleashed in airstrike. The skies turned red, say villagers, of moments missiles hit. missile debris, not bombs, fell at Jabo in Offa. So that's clarification for that one now. I can imagine how that can be. And also Sokoto government foreign relations expert, others hail operation. Now, let's move on to other concerning issues. New tax laws take effect January 1st. FG insists no going back. They're like, no, you're on your own if you thought this was going any place. We've only got a couple of days and people are still confused and concerned. Says 98% of low-income earners to pay no tax. National Assembly begins internal review, orders fresh Gazette publication. The problem is businesses aren't set up already to have these kinds of, what do you call them? Their systems are not set up at all. So you're going to have a very tedious first 3 months when this hits. Community. State police, imminent. President tells Can, I think that's long overdue. And Balogu fire, hopes fade as families search for loved ones. Tears over cries of trapped victims. And insurers turn back on traders. I wonder why. We're discussing that this morning, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
2025, Year of Fury, says the Nation newspaper at the bottom third there. Guess if you want to see some of this, pick up a paper and you can find.
Oh, yes, indeed.
What else do we have?
I think pretty much, is that all we have?
We've still got The Guardian.
Let's just do The Guardian then.
Hang on, we're being told that's all. Yeah, apologies.
Yeah, we look forward for you to read all on that. But let's move on to our very first story for today. And this time it's going to be on the big report. And we tackle insecurity with the bomb explosion that happened at the mosque in Maiduguri on Wednesday after the break.
Well, good morning once again. Now let's talk about that bomb blast. A bomb exploded inside a mosque in Maiduguri on Wednesday evening, killing 5 and injuring 35 during prayers. Now, this was not just another headline. It is a stark reminder of how deeply insecurity continues to shape daily life in the Northeast, even in places of worship. The central question for Nigeria is simple. How are we going to break the cycle of violence that keeps taking innocent lives?
So to explore the people's experience and how authorities are responding on the ground, our correspondent went straight to Maiduguri, and he spoke with residents, investigators, and security sources, as well as survivors, to bring us the latest picture, both the tragedy and the ongoing probe. There's a report from Waru Kirawa. Take a look.
This is the Gamboru Market Mosque, where a bomb exploded on Wednesday during prayer time. Eyewitnesses say the blast went off while worshippers were inside the mosque, causing instant chaos and loss of lives. The chief imam of the mosque, Alum Muhammad, who was present at the time of the explosion, recounts the incident.
da har zuwa saman Kano duk gaba kida abun ya fufo da duk mutum wanda ya zo da shi shine wannan abun ya tarwata jinin.
The bodies of the deceased were later laid to rest in accordance with Islamic rites as families, friends and sympathizers wept openly. Some eyewitnesses described the moments after the blast and the efforts to rescue victims.
Mun yi janaiza mutum 12 abinda muka janaizan su sauran kuma tana asibiti. Kuma yanzu dai mun zo bakin matsalaci mun kafa mun tsare mana jira umarni abinda mutanen mu da shugabannin mu za su faɗa mana.
Da na ji ƙara sai na ga mutane suna guduwa. To da mutane suna guduwa ne kuma sai na tinkari inda mutanen da suke gudu din sai na tinkara. Bayan nan sai muka fara cire gawawaki wani hannu daban kafa daban.
Survivors of the attack are currently receiving medical care in various hospitals across Maiduguri. Health officials say some of the injured are in stable condition. Religious leaders have condemned the attack and called for calm and unity among residents. Security authorities have urged residents to remain vigilant and to cooperate with security agencies by reporting any suspicious movement.
Mu ta addu'a mu gyara halayenmu mu koma ga Allah. Wannan zai sa duk wani bala'i ko fitina in dirka ko Allah zai takaita mana shi. Sannan abu na biyu shine da na faɗa mu yawaita wato sa ido.
The security forces, including the police, the men of the Nigerian Civil Defense Corps, the civilian JTF, hunters and vigilantes, among others, have already taken over the area. They have cordoned the area where the bomb exploded at Gamboru Market Mosque, where so many people died and so many people have been injured, to ensure that investigation is carried out successfully so as to avoid unforeseen circumstances from the area. In Maiduguri, for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
Welcome back. Now, thank you very much, Kirawa, for such a stellar report from during the week. And now Umaru Kirawa joins us now so we can have a conversation about what he witnessed while he was in Maiduguri. Kirawa, the chosen one, you're welcome. Good to have you here for our Saturday Breakfast Extra. Always a pleasure to have you over, Kirawa.
Yes, good to see you and great to be alive.
Fantastic. Well, hey, we can only thank God at the end of 2025 that we still are alive. Seems like the only thing we came out with. We've lost everything else. But may God bless us for 2026. Let's talk about your experience in Maiduguri. Let's talk about the fact that this is one state in Nigeria that has been battling, maybe even the most when it comes to religious insurgency. But here we have a bombing inside of a mosque, and I'm wondering exactly what points to it as a suicide bomber as it's being touted. Were there any proof or any investigations carried out to actually lead to that possibility?
Well, I would not like to put the cart before the horse, since investigation is already ongoing, and we await the result of the investigation by the police. But by and large, what the authorities are saying is it's an allegation that it might be a suicide bomber based on what is available on ground. But we patiently await the investigation of the police, since they have already launched an investigation. And even based on what eyewitnesses are saying, it's obvious that it might be the suicide bombing, because the chief imam of the mosque, who is also present inside the mosque when the explosion happened, attests to the fact that it's a semblance of a suicide bomber that find his way into the mosque and then exploded the device, which caused the lives of many, and many were also injured.
Omar, as we're talking about the explosion, looking at Maiduguri and Borno State, one has to ask about the reaction that have followed so far across worshippers and families and just the people of Maiduguri and Gamboru. What's the reaction like, speaking to the people? Omar, are you there? Seem to have lost Omar Kirawa, our correspondent live from Maiduguri there, who has been following the story of the mosque bombing that happened in Gamboru and Maiduguri. Kirawa, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, did you get my last question?
Yes, I got it. I said the reaction is obvious. It's something new for the people of Maiduguri metropolis, because people have started forgetting when last bomb exploded within the capital of Borno State, and as such, it's something new, and people are wondering how comes this is happening again within the metropolis now that peace is getting root, not only within the metropolis, but across different communities in the hinterland of Borno State, and in fact, Lake Chad, because even the governor of the state was not in Maiduguri that day. He spent the day and night with frontline troops in Malamfatori, a community that was recently resettled by the government, and is trying to ensure that civil authority is take place in different communities, in different parts of the state, whereby people can go back to farm, and then people do trade, transact businesses across different countries in the Lake Chad. Unfortunately, this is happening. So people got it as a shocker, and people had to go about their normal businesses. I recall I was in the area when the explosion happened, and I was telling my friend that I had this sounds like an explosion, and my friends were laughing at me. They were telling me that it was maybe a tire of a vehicle that exploded. We had nothing to do but to continue with what we were doing then. Then after prayers, then we started hearing that it was a bomb that exploded in a mosque. And
Kirawa, to be clear, did this happened during prayers? Because you've just noted that you were having prayers yourself. So did the explosion happen during prayers?
Yes, it happened during prayers. In fact, I was in the area and I was about to perform ablution with my friends. Then we had the explosion. It's different mosque. So I told them that it's a bomb explosion, and my friends were laughing at me. They told me that it's maybe a tire of a vehicle that exploded.
So Kirawa,
so we had to...
Kirawa, this must mean very different for you. I say that because on a normal day, you would go to a report, maybe in another state. You were not perhaps in that vicinity. But in this case, it happened in your vicinity. It also happened with the habits that you are used to taking, which is ablutions before prayer. So what I'm getting at is it's a very real fear for you because it could have been your mosque as well. Yes. Am I correct? So how does that work into everybody's psyche here, noting that the resurgence of violence has started to happen again and that it might be suicide bombings? Does this key into any normal frame that we've been seeing in the past couple of years, or is this totally outside the ordinary? Is it a thing that's coming back, and how does it worry the people of Maiduguri?
Well, it's quite worrying, but people of Borno State are, I mean, I can say they are the resilient people that I've ever met, and I grew up here and I am part of the state. But the level of resilience of the people is quite exceptional, because when the thing happened, people go about, in fact, some people are heading towards the area to maybe save survivors or maybe support people that are wounded, and people go about their normal businesses. People are selling and buying at the custom area. And you will see, I was able to capture ambulances carrying survivors and then moving towards the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital and the State Specialist Hospital. People go about their normal businesses as if nothing happened there. So it's quite worrying, but it's something that the people of Borno State have taken it in faith. Say most people, if you ask them, they will tell you that it's something that God has predestined. You can't change destiny. God has already destined that this will happen and nothing will change it. And as such, life has to continue, as our people used to say, Hakuna Matata. So that is just the situation for the people of Maiduguri, and survivors are receiving treatment at the various hospitals. Right. Even the vice president was there.
Umar, I wonder if it's resilience or desensitization. You know, when they've just, you know, when a town that has over the years grappled and had to deal with these attacks over the years, in decades, and now to see another just sprung up out of nowhere. I wonder what the update is so far. Do we know the identity of the suicide bomber? Do we know, has any group claimed responsibility for this bombing? And also, what's the update so far in terms of police investigation, and what are you hearing at the grassroots?
Well, investigation is still ongoing, like I said earlier, but with regard to people claiming whether they are the one or whether they are not the one, up to now, we've not had any group claiming the attack, but it's obvious. One thing is clear: Borno has been undergoing this years of insurgency, protracted insurgency for years, and Boko Haram and its offshoot group, the ISWAP, has been here for years, and it's obvious. I mean, but investigation of the police will reveal who did what, where, when, and then how it come about.
Kirawa, last week you brought us another report, a different report. This time it was a cherry one where schools were reopening, unity schools. So we're looking at it in terms of things are getting better in Maiduguri, in Borno State. The governor was very, very ecstatic actually to be out there opening these schools. But one question we asked was, the security architecture, does it serve these schools well at this time? And here, only just a week after, we have a bomb blast inside of a mosque. Now, it's not the school environment like we used to see from like we were experiencing abductions, but now this is a bomb and this is killing people in religious centers. So I'm wondering how this fits into everything that's happening in Maiduguri when it comes to security and what the governor is grappling with currently. Are students safe? Are worshippers safe? What has changed in the security architecture since Wednesday?
Well, if you ask so many people, they will tell you that Maiduguri is much more safer than even Abuja. In fact, it's even safer than where you are. But, you know, incidences happen and sometimes you cannot change destiny, like I've said. Even in hegemon countries like the United States of America, I mean, things happen. Even Donald Trump was attacked during his campaign. So there are some isolated cases that sometimes you cannot overcome, but it has to happen. But the most important thing is the faith of the people, the resilience of the people. When these things happen, they never give up, but they continue prayer, continue with what they are doing in terms of businesses, in terms of education, in terms of health, in terms of so many other things. And then the most important thing here is the message of the attack. People are now taking proactive actions in terms of ensuring that people are checked before they have access to public buildings, before they have access to schools, before they have access to mosques and churches.
So sensitization is up. Everybody's sensitive regarding security. Everybody's on the watch out. But then again, it's also at a time when we had the U.S. strike in Sokoto as well. There's been nobody's come out to claim responsibility for this bomb blast in Maiduguri. But what do the residents of Borno or Maiduguri feel about the Christmas Day attacks in Sokoto? Did they welcome it?
Well, I mean, it's a national team. Well, I would say it's an international team. People are really happy if the government or if authorities tackle or attack or handle the issues of insecurity, particularly attacking the terrorists, to ensure that they wipe out those that are marauding in different parts of the communities. But if such scenario maybe happen and then it affects civilians, population, or it affects our military, then it's quite unfortunate. So citizens of Maiduguri are not different with the citizens in different parts of the.
Kira, that didn't exactly answer the question that I asked, but I'm gonna let that one go. But my point is, if we could drop bombs on terrorists in forests and have no casualties, how do we attend to an issue like what we've just seen in Maiduguri, where it's one individual who walks into a populated place and explodes a bomb? That's if the allegations are true. How would we do? We can't put a bomb there now, can we? So what suggestions are being discussed or you've heard that the people are concerned about when it comes to the peculiar case of bomb blasts inside of mosques in Maiduguri?
Well, you know, the situation in Borno State and by extension the North is entirely different with what is happening in the Northwest. People in the Northwest, the terrorists in the Northwest, they are the bandits, sorry, let me use the correct word.
Well, it's now saying the president has now labeled them terrorists. So bandits are terrorists, kidnappers are terrorists, and religious radicalized groups are terrorists. Seem to have lost Umaru there. Umaru Kiroro is a correspondent live from Maiduguri, joining us to give us update on the Borno Mosque bombing that happened. The suicide bomber went off during prayers on Wednesday. Now, so far, we know that the death toll have increased to 12, and over 35, if I'm correct, is hospitalized with various degrees of injury. Umaru, are you back?
I do hope we have him back. But Umaru, you're back. Fantastic. Thank you very much. I hope you can finish the question that I asked from before. Do you still remember it? I was asking about the peculiar nature of the Maiduguri case, where it's an individual in a mosque as against having bandits in a bush that could easily be bombed. And you were saying...
Yes, I was saying that the situation is entirely peculiar. The operation of the terrorists in the northeast and that of the northwest is entirely different. Here, some of the terrorists are even within the towns and villages. They cohabit within towns and villages. They move with people, and sometimes it's very difficult for the security forces to identify them, since they are not using certain clothes or certain means of identity for the authorities or for the military or for the security forces to identify them. So it's a very difficult task, but with the emergence of groups like the civilian JTF, who are a child of necessity and who are mostly in the communities, within the communities, there are youth groups, and including women and then persons living with disability. They know the people that are within their community, and as such, there is that type of intelligence sharing between them and the military forces, the police, the civilian, the civil defense, and other paramilitary within the community. But it's a very tough operation that the military and other security agencies are undergoing here in the northeast.
I wonder if you're able to speak to any of the injured that were hospitalized. What was their eyewitness report? What exactly did they see or hear whilst inside the mosque?
Well, those in the hospital, some of them cannot even say what happened. They just heard of explosion and they saw themselves in the hospital. But we spoke with the chief imam of the mosque. He narrated his ordeal, which is also part of the report that we played. He said he's suspecting that it's a suicide bomber that sneaked into the mosque and then exploded the explosive device. But this is subject to the findings and conclusion of the investigation of the Nigerian police, as investigation has already been launched.
All right. Umaru, we must say thank you for taking out the time to join us this Saturday. It's fun to have you join us on the last Saturday of the year. And we're wishing you a very, very excellent day and, of course, a happy 2026. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Kirawa.
We celebrate our birthday in 2026 together. You know, we are birthday colleagues. So
I was waiting for you to say it. Maybe this time we'll do it together in one place and we won't be far away. You know, we'll be together.
Yeah, I hope, and I hope too you learn your language too.
Umar, bye-bye. Thank you. I knew you were going to take me. I'm going to have a jab at me. Umar Kirawa there, correspondent live from Maiduguri, Borno, and also my birthday mate. It's going to short break, Shai. When we come back, we'll bring you a big story. Stay with us.
Welcome back. It's another big report. Now, when the fire consumes one of the region's busiest market hubs, the cost is counted in smoke, tears, and also livelihoods lost. Balogun Market has once again been ravaged by flames. The central question is clear. What exactly went wrong, and the lessons finally, well, are they finally being learned? Well, I'm not too sure.
So what our correspondent did was they went into the heart of the blaze zone, and from traders who lost everything to officials tasked with disaster response, they found both heartbreaking and hard questions about preparedness and prevention. And here's a special report from our correspondent Victor Mbadike, who was live at the scene. Take a look.
It's a bleak Christmas for traders on Martin Street, Lagos Island. Victims continue to count their losses after this building, the great Nigerian insurance house, was gutted by fire on Wednesday evening, significantly damaging at least 6 other buildings.
I said jewelry and handbags. Yes. And I lost almost like 10 million. Yes, 10 million. If I calculate it. My shop is 2 million. Look at it. This is my shop. This is my shop. Where did I want to start from? I don't understand though.
What happened is that the Lagos government is very, very, very unfair. They don't know what they're doing. It started very, 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 very low. At a time, it's escalated. And we are looking at it as something that we stopped. But nothing is done. Even the firefighters, they don't know what they're doing.
The way the goods were being arranged, the firemen couldn't go inside the building to fight fire as they want to do. So that is one constraint itself.
While some traders managed to salvage part of their goods, others said they lost everything within minutes.
I'm just coming. At least others bring their things out and not bring a pin out. It's unfortunate. Am I unfortunate woman? This is a black Christmas for me. Will I die? Can I die? My children are grandchildren. Oh, my grandchildren, I'm the one taking care of them. I'm a single mom. I'm a single mom. Oh.
This incident once again raises important questions about why fire outbreaks continue to occur, especially during the ember months, and what preventive measures are still lacking.
We usually warn that from December, people need to be a bit more cautious, people need to be a bit more alive, and people need to be a bit more responsive and responsible. The real causes of this one officially, we cannot say is this, but from preliminary reports, it's still all around carelessness and people not adhering to strict safety and fire precautions.
Firefighters who were still battling the flames as at the time this report was filed appealed to the crowd to give officials space to work.
The people around here were not helping. The Lagos peculiarity, Lagos Island market peculiarity, where the structure are bomber to bomber, and not only that, the people were carrying their goods from one place to another. The vehicle couldn't move. The vehicle who want to bring water couldn't enter.
With one of the city's busiest textile hubs now in ruins, the economic impact will be felt beyond Martin Street. How quickly the market recovers could determine how many livelihoods are saved. In Lagos for News Central, Victor Badeke.
And Victor joins us live here in the studio for more updates and just on site and just give us a bit of insight on what he saw. Victor, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
It's a very good morning to you, and I would say Merry Christmas, but it's not so merry from what we've seen there in that visual. So let me start exactly with what we know so far about the cause of the fire. We know that goods and livelihoods have been lost, but what started the fire?
Well, thank you guys, and thank you guys all for having me. It's a good morning to me, but it's not.
Yes, yeah.
Not good morning for many others that particular event. The truth is, nobody can actually say this is what caused the fire. Not even the officials have given us official reports to that. But of course, with eyewitnesses, some of them said this was a generating set that somebody turned on generator at that time. So the incident happened sometime around between 4 and 5 in the evening on Wednesday. So it was quite early days. You saw that woman crying. That woman said to me that when the fire started at that time, it wasn't serious. So she didn't really. In fact, she was about lucky. She locked her shop at that time to attend to her children or grandchildren at home. So she just felt the guys around would deal with it. It wasn't up to 30 minutes. It has spiraled. So she got a call and she had to return. By the time she came,
it was serious.
It was all gone. You also listened to the guy who said the firefighters didn't know what they were doing. The truth is, he said that it started on a very low, nobody knew. But by the time the firefighters came, either they were out of water or the, undirected the extent of how that fire would go, and they only came with just about a truck. So when they came with the truck and they couldn't continue, the water got exhausted. By the time they would go back to get more, firepower, the fire had, spread out to other buildings. I know the way Lagos Island is structured, just like you had the director sort of Lagos, that it's bumper to bumper. So you could even extend the handshake to the next other, and
next building.
That's one of the major problems. Either electrical faults. Of course, most of these infamous buildings don't have safety infrastructures like fire extinguishers and all of that. So if we had all of those things in place, maybe, just maybe, they could have, salvaged the situation before it spiraled. Again, look at the crowd. Yes, it was cordoned off, but the crowd would even allow passage for the firefighters. So as the time that the authorities are using to fight these guys, the fire is burning.
But also, let's look at, because I was having this conversation with families, right? And like the GNI house is a house that we know too well. It's bearing. If you're driving all the way from Apapa, you can actually see the building. You can see the smoke coming out. But what's interesting is that the generator for that house is on, I think, the 5th floor of that house, right? And so if the generator had gone off and had blown, you know that means that it shares a wall with others. With others. And also it is close to a warehouse, mostly house, textile, and all of that. And so the fire extinguishers or whatever, the fire trucks that are coming in, how many litres do they have? How long is their ladder? How many manpower are they bringing? I mean, it's not about access, but it's more about the tools that can help them will their pipes or their holes all the way there, and how many liters of water they do, and whether or not they're equipped to put out a fire as in a building as large as that. And also, one has to look at the knee-jerk reaction in terms of how quick you are, because you keep saying that they thought it was small. So that means it's a common place that fire happens.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? Like, it's common. And I saw the fire, I was going home. People were standing there. I've seen TikTok videos when the fire started. People were looking at, great Nigeria. You see them standing and watching the fire as it started.
So the truth is, we've seen incidences where locals, witnesses, take initiatives.
Right.
Instead of waiting for authorities or officials to come. So pending the time the officials come, they would have, curtailed it to a large extent. But this particular building would be really difficult because it's about 20 to 24. It's that high.
So before Judith asked, that was exactly what...
How easy would it be?
What exactly was the structural situation? How easy is it to get 25 stories?
Yeah.
What exactly is inside the GNI building?
Great Nigerian.
Because you're talking about a unit generator. And I don't think it's about a unit generator, because this house is traders and it's a warehouse.
The building itself is not just a warehouse for clothing and textiles.
There's also offices.
There are also corporate offices there. In fact, there are also shops there where people sell. And it's clothing. Fire can easily spread. They're
all flammable.
Exactly. So I wouldn't want to speak for the people who tried to do what they could, but it's not going to be that easy for anybody to put out a fire that is already spreading from one floor, second floor, third floor.
Then
how much can you do?
Could the fire service have done that? What kind of equipment did they bring?
Well,
Judith was asking how long is their ladder. Did they bring a ladder?
How many meters are there?
Because I know, I have not seen this happen, but in foreign countries, you'd have the exact kind of equipment. The hose would go up the ladder with the it's a ladder.
No,
it's a crane.
Absolutely. Here's the thing.
So did any of that?
I did not categorically see any, but what I also noticed was that the hose was long enough to get to whatever floor.
But it was being carried man-held.
Well, but that's the situation.
So while they're talking about access, it was bad, and they didn't let us in as the authorities now. Were they even prepared? Let's focus on our Nigerian authorities.
They could have their own excuses.
Because if you have to labor through carrying these hoses through the labyrinth, through a 25-story building, you can only imagine the amount of challenges that you're going to get, as against if you had a crane, lift it up, and let's get water in those floors.
Well, Mazino, we will get there, but the truth is,
we will get there. And I'm not. You're not the authorities. I'm sorry, but we're discussing this.
In 2024, there was an entire street of that because of one fire. They had to pull down all the structures. That would have been, in my humble opinion, this is just a commentary, they would have been, in my humble opinion, one that would make Lagos State and that CBD, the Central Business District, sit up to say this fire station that we have here, we will make sure that we have state-of-the-art equipment, and because this CBD have cost us too much money in terms of rebuilding and paying those traders. That should have been a cautionary tale in terms of preparedness. That's one. And then two, because every building that's around that structure now is compromised, right? And then two, what could have happened and should have happened was that immediately after that fire that happened in 2024, in the first quarter, and I think second quarter of 2024, what they should have done was to make sure that there is a monthly and quarterly check in terms of fire preparedness across every building, floor, and traders, in my humble opinion. But away from that, I have to ask you about so far the recovery. Do we know in terms of casualties? Do we know in terms of, what are we looking at in terms of casualties?
Well, from what I gathered, I don't know if anything has changed now. I do understand that Israel was also there yesterday. We do not have any figure in terms of casualty, lives lost. No, none of such. But in terms of what has been lost, yes, there were many casualties in terms of goods lost. I mean, you can't quantify. A lot of them were supposed to travel for the Christmas break. While some were on the express traveling, they got a call that their shops are on fire.
And they turned back.
Devastating.
Well, I wouldn't know if they turned back. When we would just accept their fate. While some were actually getting prepared to travel by weekend, this happened. So that, of course, have hampered their, their mood. So it's all just for them to start all over again and see what they can to. So you saw some of them retrieving what they can. The lucky ones, basically, they wouldn't wait. They wouldn't want to wait for the fire to spread to their shops. They had to quickly take, their stuff out of that place completely. While some were really unlucky to pick out a pin, and that's a lot of money lost. You saw that woman said she's lost about over 10 million naira. Yeah. The man who spoke earlier said he's lost about 20 million naira. So it's a lot of money. It would be big.
I really wish we had more time to have you over and stay and talk about community and what they are doing as a community themselves, the traders, to make sure that these kinds of occurrences don't happen, because it doesn't seem like they're taking any of the lessons from the previous fire instances at all. Because if you don't have fire extinguishers in your community, your entire community, or you don't have somebody who goes about and checks every single week, then what lessons are you learning even as traders?
And don't forget that the Harmattan, this period, dry, humidity, weather, and all that can easily spread fire, as no matter how little it is. Not in a place like Lagos Island where everything is bumper to bumper, like the director said.
So for me, while we're talking about the authorities and saying you didn't do this, you didn't do that, I'm like, what about you, the traders?
Exactly.
What have you done?
Absolutely.
Well, Mbadike, thank you very much for all.
Thank you, guys. Well, thank you, Judith.
Great reporting. We hope that we'd see either one from you or Israel before the end of the weekend.
Absolutely.
And we also hope that the traders are also perhaps maybe finding succor somehow. Well, we hope at this point is when we talk about insurance. And it's a big deal. Not very many people believe in insurance, but that would help with a lot. Do stay tuned. We'll be moving over to our big stories in just about a bit.
And we continue this hour with headline news. We begin with security matters this time, where the federal government has reassured citizens that it remains firmly in control of the country's security architecture and is fully committed to protecting lives and property as it intensifies decisive actions against terrorist groups threatening national stability. Now, the strikes took place in the early hours of Friday after approval by President Bola Tinubu. Information Minister Mohammed Idris, during a press briefing on Friday, disclosed that Nigerian security forces, in collaboration with the United States, successfully conducted precision strike operations against two major Islamic State terrorist enclaves in Sokoto State. Now, according to the minister, the targeted enclaves were located within the Bani forest axis of Tangaza local government area. And meanwhile, the defense headquarters says the airstrikes in Sokoto show that the federal government's strong commitment to fighting terrorism in partnership with the United States. Now, in a statement on Friday, the DHQ spokesman, Major General Somalia Uba, said the strikes targeted foreign ISIS-linked terrorists operating in the region. Now, he explained that the operation followed credible intelligence and careful planning to weaken terrorist networks while reducing harm to civilians. Now, Uba added that the strikes were approved by the appropriate authorities and are part of ongoing efforts to protect national security. Now, earlier, we were joined by Awal Aliyu and Achinke to give us more insight on that. We'll bring you that excerpt in our subsequent bulletins. In the meantime, the Nigerian police have arrested 2 suspected bandits that are linked to violent crimes across Katsina, Zamfara, Niger, and Kwara states. Operatives of the Force Intelligence Department carried out the arrest during a covert operation in Kwara State. Police spokesman Benjamin Udein said one of the suspects, Abubakar Usman, also known as Sidi, was the man seen in a viral video showing off money and weapons. The second suspect was identified as Shehu Muhammadu, also called Gideon. Now, recovered items include an AK-47 rifle with live ammunition, 500,000 naira cash, and a motorcycle. Police say investigations are still ongoing. And now to education, as the federal government has reached a tentative agreement with the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, over the renegotiation of the 2009 Agreement on Lecturers' Service Conditions. Now, according to the new draft agreement, the government has promised to pay withheld salaries and address long-standing arrears, including 25 to 35% salary backlogs and promotion arrears owed for over 4 years. Now, while the deal also covers the release of unpaid third-party deductions, such cooperative funds and union dues as well, the government further agreed to a 40% salary increase and plans to set up a National Research Council with dedicated funding. Let's move outside of Nigeria, shall we, as the African Union and Somalia have strongly criticized Israel after it officially recognized Somaliland as an independent state. Israel is the first country to take such a step. Somaliland broke away from Somalia in 1991 and has long sought international recognition. Somalia's foreign ministry described Israel's decision as an attack on its sovereignty, warning it could harm peace in the region. The African Union also rejected the move, saying Somaliland remains part of Somalia and that such actions set a dangerous precedent for Africa. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the recognition aligns with the Abraham Accords. And off to Guinea, just 48 hours to the country's presidential election, residents of the capital, Conakry, are sharing hopes for a better future. Many voters say they want an election that will move the country forward and unite all Guineans. A technician, Silo Barrow, said the biggest concern for many young people is unemployment. As campaigning winds down, expectations remain high for a peaceful vote.
De cette élection présidentielle de la Guinée, que ça va être une élection qui va faire avancer la Guinée, qui va réunir tous les Guinéens et puis qui peut réconcilier les Guinéens de plus encore. Et on veut un président, le président qui sera élu, on veut un président qui va créer de l'emploi pour la jeunesse guinéenne, parce qu'à l'heure là, il n'y a pas d'emploi. La situation de ces les opposants qui ont été éliminés, ça, moi par exemple, ça m'a surpris. Oui, parce que dans une élection, tout le monde devait aller, on devait appeler tous les opposants pour pouvoir réconcilier ce pays. Tous les opposants devraient aller. Mais comme dans le matière juridique, juridiquement, je ne suis pas informé. Selon le ministre de l'Intérieur,
And that's all the headlines we can take at this hour. Join us at 10 for another bulletin. I am Judith at TV. Thank you for watching. We'll switch gears to Breakfast Extra after the break. Stay with us.
And welcome to our very first big story for a Saturday, the penultimate day or weekend rather, for 2025. And today, let's talk governance. Let's talk Seyi Makinde, Governor of Oyo State. He's publicly addressed his stance on the 2027 presidential election and stirred fresh debate about party loyalty, democracy, and also opposition strength in Nigeria. Makinde disclosed the fallout with Nyesom Wike that stems from Wike's alleged pledge to support President Bola Tinubu's re-election bid. Makinde insists he will not back the incumbent and warns that efforts to weaken the People's Democratic Party risks eroding Nigeria's multi-party democracy. He also affirmed his experience and qualification to serve at the highest level of government. The timing of Makinde's comments comes as the opposition grapples with internal crisis, defections, and also questions about unity ahead of the 2027 contest. The PDP's struggles have deepened with debates about zoning and leadership direction. Yet the 2027 race continues to shape public conversations about democratic choice, party strategy, and the future of governance in Nigeria.
So to help us understand the political stakes and public reaction, we're joined by Professor Simeon Na. He's a public affairs analyst and he joins us virtually. Professor, good morning to you and thank you so much for coming on.
Good morning and compliments of the season.
Compliments of the season to you too as well. Let's begin, with what Makinde's intervention tells us about the dynamics of party politics as we edge closer to 2027, shall we? I mean, what do you make of the turn of events so far? How do you see, Nigerians interpreting Makinde's decision to speak openly about Wike and all that's unfolding within the PDP?
Well, everybody in Nigeria knows that there's no love lost between Wike and Makinde. Recall that during the build-up to the 2023 elections, they formed what they called G5. And that was the second time PDP was delving into such things. Remember, in 2025, it was the same thing. Some PDP governors moved out and formed a group that led to the loss of PDP in 2015. So in 2023, while I may not support that of 2015, I tacitly supported that of 2023. Why? Because the zoning of the PDP is that the North will do 7 years and the South will do 7 years. The North will do 8 years and the South will do 8 years. However, it should be noted here that that's a convention. It is not in any of our constitution, it's not in any of our laws. It's an agreement between them. So as gentlemen, they should keep to that agreement. But when it came up in 2023, that instead of allowing a southern presidential candidate, a northern presidential candidate emerged. Even at that, they came together and said, okay, no problem, you have emerged, but you cannot be the presidential candidate and the chairman of the party from the same zone. And they said, no, if you are listening to Makinde like I did, Makinde said that he met Atiku in London and told him to allow them to ask Iyechayo, that was the chairman of their party as at that time, to exit so that they can bring in the deputy as the chairman. Atiku said it should give him 1 week. He came back and said they have gone past that. Now, who does that? Now, it means he took them for a ride. And when they now met and took that decision to work against him. Now, for me, I didn't say anything bad in that because you can't take me for a ride and expect me to give you loyalty. I will not do that. At that instant, I supported them. But however, when events began to pan out, recall that Pa'awo did say in politics, what you have is permanent interest. You don't have permanent enemy, no permanent friend. It's only permanent interest. So their friendship came to a halt when Wike went, they said he went to a meeting. It was, I'm quoting Makinde verbatim, that they went to a meeting at Aso Rock and Wike now told the president that he was going to hold the PDP down for him in 2027. And Makinde asked, did we agree on that? How could you have gone to make such statements? And, every man has his own pride. You cannot go to a meeting like that and you begin to say things that you think yourself, that you never discussed with any other party. So you are trying to say that all others are subservient to you. You are the man in charge. That's what he's trying to do. And if you look at the tragedy of Wike, that's his style. Recall
Professor
that when...
Professor, now let's stop at this juncture here and investigate more about these internal problems of the PDP. Let's talk about these fractures now that we've gotten to this part about Wike versus Makinde. Now, as Wike said that he was going to hold the PDP for the presidency come 2027, one has to ask whether the problems inside of the PDP are still ideological or whether it's a personality thing now, where certain persons think that they're bigger than the party and that they could, well, they whatever the party does depends on what they say. Is it still an ideological problem that they're having, or is it a personality problem?
It's not an ideological problem. As it stands now, it's personality clash. Recall that he who pays the piper dictates the tone. Now, Wike before now has been taking the bills of PDP. If you know the number of chairmen he has brought in and removed in PDP, you will understand what I'm saying. So at the end of the day, it is Wike now trying to say what I will say stands. So it's a personality clash. And Makinde, coming from his own point of view, says, no, you cannot do that here. Even he said it during his media chat, that look, he was a millionaire or a billionaire before he got into government. And that Wike, all the money has made has been from politics. I'm quoting him verbatim. So at the end of the day, he feels that this man cannot come and control me. And let me say this succinctly too, it resonates with me, that it will be wrong for one person. In my place, they say one person does not answer general. I am the general in this place. No. It has to be, and when one person cooks for the community can finish it. But when the community cooks for one person, it will be difficult for that person to finish that meal. So I've said that to say this, that what has happened in PDP up to this moment is a personality clash.
Okay.
And the PDP themselves have not taken steps to correct their mistakes in the past.
Now, sir, Professor Nna, these personality clashes, these personalities, Wike especially, to what end are these activities within the PDP? What exactly is his interest in the APC while he's still at the PDP, and to what end exactly? Some people argue as a saboteur. Some people argue that he wants to be president. What is your take?
No. He doesn't want to be president because he knows he will not be president.
Why?
Because from what has happened so far, he will not be president. Even if he wants to, it's not now. Because now with what is going on, he will not even contest for president. What he said what he wants to do, he wants to hold the PDP down for President Tinubu.
Does that indicate sabotage? Does that indicate sabotage?
He doesn't want the situation.
So does that indicate sabotage?
Of course, yes. When you are in a party and you say your party cannot present a presidential candidate, you are holding your party down for another party. That is sabotage now. And that's why some of us were worried that the PDP did not take steps when they were supposed to take steps to suspend him from the party. He cannot be bigger than the party, cannot be bigger than everybody, but they are watching him throwing tantrums here and there. And now the push has come to shove, and it's now difficult for them to move in. Look at what they have done. They have succeeded to get a court judgment against the convention. And they did it well because they got from a federal high court. Makinde went to a state high court. I've asked some lawyers, because I'm not one, they said that the state high court in this matter cannot give orders to INEC. So whatever judgment the state high court had given will not affect INEC's decision. You see, so they are playing into the hands of Wike, and he's holding them at their jugular as we speak.
Right. Prof, I have to ask you, right, Wike's ambition is a very interesting thing. And I don't know if it's grandiose or delusion, in my opinion, because if he was vying for a presidency for the PDP in 2023, what was his chances of him winning against Tinubu and running against Peter Obi and the Obedience in 2023 elections? If he had clinched the ticket for the PDP, would he have won?
He may not have won.
Okay.
Because already people knew who he was.
Right.
Well, being a governor for Rivers State for 8 years, people had known who he was and they knew how to tackle the situation. Recall that in December 2023.
Right.
Sorry?
Yeah, no, I'm going somewhere with this, Professor. He would not have won, right? And to me, looking back, I think that Wiki has always played this game the entirety of this time. The creation of G5 was not about integrity, in my humble opinion. And I don't know if you agree with this. I feel like it was always a case to get here. Because if you go from trying to put a party together to get a ticket and then from there become a minister of the FCT and become somewhat of a puppet or a tool for the president and publicly declare that you do everything in his power to be president. So it begs to ask the question where the integrity has always been with the G5 and whether Makinde has always been in cahoots with him.
Okay, you can look at it from both ends. I'm looking at it purely from the angle of the grandstanding of the ticket holder of the presidency and the chairmanship of the party as at that time. But after that time, like I said, it became another thing altogether. As at the point Wike now went to take appointment in APC, if I were in PDP, that was the time he would have been sanctioned. That was the time it would have been sanctioned. Now, if you look at it, if you say that Makinde, that what he did then was not a matter of integrity. Recall that he said he went to UK, he went to London to see the former vice president. Right. And then they agreed that he should give them chance to remove Iyochayo, the chairman of the party. But he came back and said after 1 week, he said he should give him 1 week. After that, he said they have gone past that. Who does that? If they do that to you, will you take it? If somebody does that to me, I will not take it. Because it was a mark of respect for him to go to London to meet him and to say, look, let's resolve this issue. And the refused, he was grandstanding.
Right.
So as far as I was concerned, if I were in his shoes, I would take the same decision he took. Simplicity. But what happened later is a different ballgame.
All right, so let's look at the latter here, right? And let's look at how all this thing is played out. And let's look at Wike's ambition and the entirety of PDP. Does Makinde have a chance to save the PDP?
I don't think so for now. I don't think so, because it's going to be a very tall order. Even though I know that PDP is the only party that has structures all over the place. But in 2023, we have seen that somebody without structures can still win an election, because Obi was a nightmare to all of them. Recall that what Erufai said later when he was saying the result was not the original result. He was bringing out the original result. And well, we have gone past that. But the truth is, the way it stands in Nigeria today, structures don't win elections. It's individuals that win elections, the integrity of the person that wins elections.
Professor, why exactly are you saying this? Are you saying this because the structure is faulty or the person? Makinde thinks he's qualified. In fact, he says he's overqualified to be Nigerian president. He also cites good works in Oyo. But I'm thinking, apart from experience, what governance outcomes can we take out of Oyo State and say that, yes, this person perhaps can rule Nigeria? That is if the problem is the party. So there are two things here. Is it the person that cannot be president for 2027, or is it the party he is with that won't let him be president?
It's a party that he's with that will not let him to be president.
So that means he is qualified. That means he can be president.
Sorry?
That means he can be president if only he switches parties.
Yes, he can be president. He's eminently qualified to be president of Nigeria, because those that have been there are not better than he is. Those that have been there are not better than he is. So he's eminently qualified to be president of Nigeria. He has held sway in Oyo for 8 years, 6 years now, going to 7, and his held his own. So at the end of the day, I think he's eminently qualified to contest as the president of this country. But contesting from a PDP, he will not make it from PDP. Because a house divided against itself cannot stand. PDP is already divided against itself. All the moves they have made to reconcile with each other have failed. And with INEC now not recognizing his own faction, recall that why he took that convention to Oyo and insisted in having the convention in Oyo is for him to pick the ticket, the presidential ticket, when that primary comes. Because that's what they do. Because if you plant your person as the chairman, eventually you are going to pick the ticket at the end of the day. So, but picking the ticket now is one thing and winning the election is another. The way PDP is now, some people will say the umbrella is torn and cannot be mended for now. Right. Except they go extra mile, like Dr. Bukola Saraki has been advocating, and they go the extra mile to come together and forget what has transpired in the past and ensure that Wike is no longer part of them, because Wike will always betray them. I can tell you that for free, and you can go to the bank for it.
Right. So help me understand this, right? Because late last year and early this year, we saw Labour Party go through the same faith that the PDP is going, which brought about two factions. We had the Nenadi and of course Abure's led faction, and we saw the issues that they had at the courts and matters at the convention. Now we're seeing the same thing with the PDP, and it's confusing how we have political stalwarts in those parties and how somehow they didn't see this coming. Besides the PDP's inability to call or reining Wike when he was coloring beyond the lines, what other undoing happened to the PDP?
Well, what happened to the PDP is what has been happening to other parties. The voice of Jacob and the hand of Esau. You can see that the ruling party has always planted a mold in all these political parties. Now, let's trace the trajectory. Now, when some people saw that the PDP crisis cannot be, controlled, they decided to form a mega party. Their first move was in SDP. Immediately, SDP that had never had problem before started having problems. They started going to court. Then I said, okay, let's leave SDP for ADC. They went to ADC, ADC started having issues. They started having problems again. Now, look at Osun. The governor in Osun felt that with the problem in PDP, it will be difficult for him to win election there. So he moved to Accord. Accord, we have never had Accord having issues. Immediately he moved to Accord, Accord started having issues. So you can see what we are saying, that it is the voice of Jacob and the hand of Esau. The ruling party wants to ensure that all the other parties will be decimated, if you like, will be destroyed before they go into 2027 elections. And that is why you see all these problems, cropping up here and there. Okay, look at the registration of the political parties. Now, we heard that ADA has made all the moves and has almost qualified to be one of the parties in the election. But today, INEC has told us that they are not qualified to be registered as a political party. There's something going on.
Professor, I just want to pause you on that, right? Because there's so much to unpack here, and we don't want to miss any of it. Let's quickly go on a short break. When we come back, we'll continue with your remarks there, and also what this tells about the power of the ruling party after the break. Stay with us.
Welcome back, and we're still continuing our conversation on 2027 as Governor Makinde speaks in presidency and party politics. We have our guest here, Professor Seyi. Now, he's been talking to us about this very interesting topic here for the past couple of minutes, or more than a couple of minutes. Professor Na, thank you very much for still remaining with us. Professor Na, the governor Mr. Makinde's concern is very interesting. Well, it's normal. He says you can't risk a one-party state, and if you continue to destabilize the PDP, then that's what you're doing. But then again, let's take a look at it from where the citizens are. Do the citizens actually still believe that there's a difference between the PDP, the APC, the ADC, or so and so? What must happen between now and 2026 or 2027 for people to get back that trust that opposition means something when it comes to politics in Nigeria?
I think in Nigeria, people are not just looking at the opposition, they are looking at the individuals that are coming up as presidents. I said that with a benefit of hindsight of what happened in 2023, of even what happened in 2015. Recall that in 2015, when the Buhari came, they said, he has integrity and stuff like that. And that was why people voted for him. Then you come again in 2023, they saw another man that had integrity, they voted for him. Although he was not announced the winner, whatever happened, only God knows. So I think the people are willing to vote for a candidate that has integrity. And if the National Assembly will pass the Electoral Act of 2025, it will be 2026 now when it's passed, that election results should be transmitted real time. Because the challenge we had in 2023 was that law was not made. It was INEC that made a pronouncement. But if they can pass it as a law now, that beavers must be used, election results must be transmitted real time, and the people are willing to see the result as it's been, as the votes are being calculated, as the votes are going on, then it will be easy for a candidate that has integrity to win. Because when people have seen the result, you cannot go and manipulate it behind. Because we have seen in the last elections that it is when these results are moving from local government to states that they manipulate the results, and what they will bring out will not be what the people at the polling booth saw when the results were announced. So I think that Nigerians are looking up for a credible candidate, not just a political party, because they know all the political parties have failed us. I don't think there's any political party now they say that will come out and beat their chest and say, I am the best. We don't have that political party here. But we have individuals that can stand up and say, hey, I know how to do it, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it well.
Professor, I want to say thank you so much for taking out the time to join us. I wish there was enough time to continue, because the question would have been, why the ruling party has this much power to destabilize other political parties the way that they have, and giving the precedents we've seen. But thank you so far. Very solid analysis. Professor Simeon is a public affairs analyst, just giving us insight as the Seyi Makinde has spoken about presidency and the politics within the PDP. Once again, thank you. We switch gears now to bring you live reporting all the way from Sokoto State, as Jamil Mabai, our investigative correspondent, is on standby for more update on the airstrikes, or the air drone strikes that happened in the state from earlier this week. Mabai, it's good to have you join us. Talk to us. What's the latest?
As you can see, this is point of impact where the strike happened there, double on that. And if you can just bring the camera closer, if you can see this gaping hole where the bomb landed, and it's still over the area. You can see over there, you can see where it's on some of the ground there. So if you can just bring that to the camera towards me. Residents told us that the strike happened around 10:30 p.m. and it was a very loud one. And from what we have seen, this is the first point where the first blast happened. A kilometer away from where we are now, the second one landed. But that one is yet to go up. Military personnel have been stationed there. They have barricaded the place, and they are working on defusing the bomb to avoid any further casualties or anything. But here we see is one of the first person that responded to this very site when the incident happened. Let's just hear, from the full experience what he can recall. Da Allah za ka iya tuna ga wani finansu kuma da ɗan gaya mana a gurguje me ya faru sanda abin ya faru.
Sunana Suleiman Sani wanda aka sani da Suleiman Allura. Gaskiya bayan karfe 10 na dawo gida ƙauyen mu da hanta kenan jin zuwa 10:07 sai muka ji ƙara abu mai ƙarfi sosai ta zo ta faɗi sai wuta ta tashi. Abu ya tashi sai kowa ana hayya gari ya tso hayaniya kowa hankalin shi ya tashi sai muka zo ana dudduba ko ina a da ko ina ba a dai gane ina ne abin ya faru ba sai can aka ga bayan gari ne haka abin ya faru wuta ta tashi sosai to mutane suka yi kururuwa suka zo gurin to lokacin da aka zo gurin gaskiya mun tunanin cewa jirgi ne ya faɗi to da muka zo sai muka ga wani abu mai kamar bomb haka kamar missile ya zo ya fashe haka ya wawwatse ko ina har wurin ya yi rami sosai ya yi deep sosai to gaskiya mun shiga tashin hankali sosai to sai wace gari muke tunanin cewa wai muke gari da dukiya cewa ana harar ISWAP da waye lakura da sauransu munan gaskiya kuma ko IC a nan a gaskiya ba mu da IC ko ISWAP a nan gudunmu mu ta Jabo ko kuma sai tangon lokacin zaman Jabo kaga rawa gaskiya ba mu da ISWAP muna da yan kidnapping kuma sun ki damun mu lokacin damana lokacin kiba kayan abinci haka sun fi damun mu gaskiya yanzu nan ba mu da ISWAP ko ISIS ko wasu lakura wannan gaskiya ba mu da
it was around 10 p.m. like I said, and it was a loud sound, and we came over and saw debris from the bomb blast. One very important thing to understand here from what he says, Double community has no presence of ISIS or Lakrawa terrorists. And the police, going by what we have seen, is a very quiet community, and they hardly witnessed any attack either from bandits or from the Lakrawa. So this raised the question on what was actually targeted here. And from what they told us, no casualty was recorded. No building or whatsoever was hit or anything. So the question now is what was targeted? What were the coordinates that were used? And what sort of information do the American government and the Nigerian government have at their disposal before estimating this place and saying that okay, this place is an area that they have seen movement of Lakura or IC, they are on the move for them to warrant this attack. And the other one, like I said, the other bomb which hasn't gone up, is still there. It came down in a farm, and there was a farmer who went to his farm to check on what he planted. Then he saw the bomb there, deep in the ground. So the place has been barricaded. And the other one happened in Gaza. Gaza is one of the frontline areas in Sokoto. It's over our journey from where we are, and the bomb fell within the municipality of the community there, and we learned that there are casualties there, but we are yet to put together the pieces on what prompted this attack and what were the assurances or the conditions that made the Nigerian government and the US government to attack these particular areas. Because going by what we've seen here, the strike has no success recorded whatsoever. Instead, it has put the people of Gabo into panic attack. And, joining me also to shed more light is another member from this community. At first, he said he thought it was a nuclear
Jamil, I would like to ask you a question, Jamil. Now, you were telling us about these 3 instances, the one here, which you've just told us about, and then the other one from a long way away, you said, 11 kilometers perhaps. You said there were casualties there. Were these civilian casualties, or did that 3rd bomb hit its target?
No, the casualties 1 kilometer away also it's just an open farm field like this one. So the bomb is, according to what the people here told us, that it didn't go up there, but it's still there. The military personnel are stationed there trying to defuse the bomb. The other one happened, 3 hours journey from where we are now in another community, Tangaza, where it fell within the municipality of that community, and there are other casualties and some houses have been destroyed. But we are yet to put all this information together to come to understand that, okay, why this attack happened in these 2 locations, that no building, no casualty, nothing was targeted.
All right then, Jamil. Jamil, what we are getting, especially from the United States President's tweets, or rather comments on social media, has been celebratory, telling that they hit the targets. Were any of these strikes that we've recorded in Nigeria, did any of these strikes hit a target at all, an intended target?
No, it didn't. That I can, confirm that it didn't. As you can see here, it's just an open grazing field. If you can just tilt the camera so that you can have a good view, you can see it's just an open field camera, farmhouses, and this is the point of, impact. And the other one, if you can tilt the camera a bit towards that axis, you can see it's also another open field. But the one that happened in Tangaza happened within the municipality of Tangaza, and no Laukurawa or ISIL were among the casualties there. It was the people there and the houses there. But we are yet to confirm, the extent of the damage in Tangaza. So probably if we're done with it, we can go there and have a first-hand look or assessment on the extent of the damage.
Once again, you say the people of this community do not experience any insurgency or banditry. You were going to talk to somebody else, and I'm wondering if that was going to be the content you were going to extract from him.
Okay. Yes, exactly. Okay. Okay, nan garin kake? Nan adan nake cikin kayan wanda abin da ya faru. Okay, to bari in tambaye ka. Nan Jabo, Lakurawa ko ISIL ko ‘yan Boko Haram sun taɓa zuwa wurin nan, akwai su a nan yankin ku? Gaskiya ba mu da su, amma dai muna da kinafa. Wasu mutane ne za su zo kawai da dindigogi, amma ba a irin wannan lokacin ba. Sai lokacin damana ko kuma damana ta fi son za su zo kawai su koro mutane nan ƙauyukan namu da ko'ina da ko'ina za su zo su taru a cikin garin Warkini da nan Jabu, za su cika makarantar su cika asibiti ko'ina, amma dai mun gaskiya ba mu saba ganin wannan. A kan Lakura da ake magana. A gaskiya ban da masani a kansu, amma ina jin labari kuma ka san jin labari ba shi ne ba. So kamar yadda ake bayani, Lakura za su zo su cin maka idan kana da shanu ko kuma kana da dukiya, sai su raba ta biyu. Idan suka raba ta biyu su ban ma rabi su kai rabi su ce su dan malaka. Sometimes idan suka sake dawowa za su kwace. To kaga abin nan dai bala'i ne kawai, Allah shi mana magani. Mazino, just like he says, they have never, Lakurawa have never passed through here, or Boko Haram Islamists. But what they have here is the prevalence of bandits. They come and make their own attacks as it happens anywhere, and they go back to their terrain. But let me also engage one other person so that we can have a feel of whether ISIS or Boko Haram people are here. Kata Lakura,
Ina san Lakurawa.
Lakurawa sun taɓa zuwa nan Jabo.
Gaskiya Lakurawa ba su taɓa zuwa nan Jawo ba.
Boko Haram sun taɓa zuwa nan.
Boko Haram ba su taɓa zuwa Jawo ba. Amma
akwai ƴan ISIS ko
babu ISIS babu ƴan ISWAP da ake cewa da kaza sauran abin ga ƙungiyoyin ƴan ta'adda. Gaskiya duk bamu da sunan Jabo. Ko in ce tambuwar local government. Muna dai da kidnapping.
To ake kidnapping.
Gaskiya wasu Fulani ne waɗanda ba wanda ya san su misali ba wanda ya san su suna zaune a cikin dazuka. To suna zaune a cikin dazuka musamman ga damana in suka zo za su zo gari su tada da hankali su zo da dare su ɗo wannan su ɗo mata su ɗo yara da sauransu. Gaskiya mu ba mu da irin su Boko Haram ISWAP da sauransu.
To nan wannan harin da ya faru kana ganin cewa ba karamin ku mutanen cikin sun ji daɗin abin nan koko suna ganin wani abu ne na
gaskiya sun jin daɗi gaskiya ba ran jin daɗi mun shiga ɗemuwa sosai da tashin hankali wadda gaskiya mu nan ba mu taɓa jin irin wannan tashin hankalin ba.
So Mazino, he also affirmed that ISIS or ISWAP and the Lakurawa sect have never been to Jabo, but all the insecurity here happened as a result of activities of bandits who usually come during farming season to devour their farm harvest and leave. But one of the community members that we engaged, he told us that for the past six months, even the banditry attack has subsided along this area. And like I said, the area Jabo, it's so close to Sokoto local government, just an hour drive from Sokoto local government, for any terrorist organization to have a base or maybe transit base or whatever along that axis. And there is also a military cantonment, a brigade command of the military that is 45 minutes drive away from Jabo local government. So it's very, very, very hard for Lakurawa or ISIS or Boko Haram members to operate within this particular axis. But like I said, this attack, from what they said, has caused a lot of fear and anxiety among the people, and they felt that the attack was kind of a conspiracy to them, or for the American government or the Nigerian government to launch an attack like this. So far, this is what we have. But like I said, we're trying to put together the pieces, so that we can make them.
Jamil, fantastic work. Thank you very much for being one of the first reporters on ground to actually bring real-time evidence of what exactly or where exactly these strikes happened. Jamil, we're having this conversation tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. here on Breakfast Extra, and we're hoping that you'll be able to join us so you give us first-hand experience and detail from every respondent that you'll be speaking with today. So we're looking forward to having you tomorrow by 9 a.m.
Okay, thank you. I'll be around, yeah.
Thank you very much, Jamil.
And that's Jamil Mabai there, just at the scene of one of the airstrikes that was done by the U.S. Let's go on a short break, shall we? When we come back, we'll take a look at Nigeria's political scene for the entirety of 2025. After the break, stay with us. Hey, welcome back. Let's switch gears, shall we, and bring you something fun. And this time is around the world with Waka Waka Doctor on Waka Waka World. He takes us off to the beaten path of Eleko Beach, Lagos. We know that Lagos has many shores, but this lesser visited stretch of the Lekki Peninsula offers calm waves, open skies, and a gentle escape from the city rhythm from the IJGBs. And if you're looking for serenity under palm trees, sand between your toes, and a place to breathe deeper, Eleko might just be the quiet you're looking for this season. Without further ado, let's take you to that scenic break with the Waka Waka Doctor. Take a look.
Nestled on the Atlantic coast, away from Lagos' bustling streets, lies a serene escape, Eleko Beach. It's a place where time slows down and the city's noise fades into the rhythmic melody of the ocean. today, we'll take you on a journey to explore the vibrant culture, the nature, and the adventure that makes Eleko Beach a true hidden gem.
This is my first time of coming to this place, and I've spent close to 20 minutes here. I think Eleko Beach is a cool place. They are kind of organized here, and the beach is clean. They are not too crowded. Maybe I'll just go straight to that water and like jump inside or play. I just like to stay close to the water.
Did you like Eleko?
Eleko is a good place, and I really like this place. I've been coming to Eleko for a very long time, like, let me say about 10 years ago.
What?
Yes.
10 years?
Sure.
Of all the beaches in Lagos, this is your best?
Yeah, the reason why I choose Eleko as my best, because I really like the area. It's cool, and the people here in Eleko, they're very lovely, and so they are nice too. So they welcome strangers like from any other places. You're surely welcome. But I'm not saying maybe the other beach are not cool. They are cool also, but you know, it depends on where you found your peace, your happiness, your joy, and all that.
When you come to Eleko, what are the fun activities usually?
Oh, I love swimming.
Swimming?
Yeah, I love swimming. I love the beach, like, I mean the water. I really love it. Like, I'm in love with the water.
The water, what else?
I'm like playing game around with my friend.
Okay.
Hugs. A lot. I play ball, yes. Me and my friends, we play ball.
Volleyball?
Yes. Volleyball.
Volleyball, okay.
Yeah.
Eleko Beach isn't just about the sand and the sea. It's about the people too. You know, for generations, fishing has been the lifeblood of this community. Yep. Meet this fisherman who's been casting his nets right here for more than 10-15 years. How many fishes do you catch in a day?
In a day, it depends on fish take swimming at the water. In a day, more than 100, more than 150.
100, 150.
Yes.
Wow. So is it expensive? Do you make a lot of money from fishing?
It just make a lot of money. In a day, I can make, in a day, if fish swim in the water, in a day, I can make 8,000, 9,000.
Wow. Is it every day, or some days you get, some days you won't get?
It's every day. It's every day. But every day, let's say every day, I can catch less 4,000.
Okay.
Another day, 3,000. But when fish swim in the water, I used to catch 12,000.
All right.
11, 13,
do you love your job?
I love my job. I love my job.
And meet this artisan who's been creating stunning shells, jewelry, and he's been selling to visitors all around the world.
My name is Alhaji Garba.
I am a trader. I sell a variety of items with the prices ranging from 3,000, 5,000, and 10,000. On a good day, we make a lot of sales, but on bad days, we make little or no sales.
Eleko Beach isn't just a travel destination. It's a place that's got a lot of history, culture, vibe, and has this timeless bond between people and nature. Anytime you find yourself in Lagos, make sure just go on Google and type Eleko Beach. Travel that road less found, less traveled, to come find this magic of a place. It's Eleko Beach, and you would enjoy the time of your life. Thank you very much for watching. Until I see you again on another episode of Waka Waka World, it's your one and only Waka Waka Doctor, and I'm signing out.
And you're welcome back. Now it's time for a big story here, the third hour for Breakfast Extra inside of our weekend installation. 2025 tested Nigeria's political system. From the pushback against Tinubu-era reforms to debates over shifting the 2027 elections to 2026, power and policy repeatedly collided with public sentiment. The declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State and record foreign investment promises also defied this year, raising hard questions about federal authority, democratic process, and economic credibility as well. Now, across the country, citizens responded with a mix of hope, fatigue, and also skepticism. While government spoke of reform and stability, many Nigerians measured success by rising living costs, security gaps, and whether political decisions were truly people-centered.
And so to unpack this year and all that's happened at the political scene, we're joined by two guests. First is Devo Okore. He's a political and public affairs analyst, and he joins us virtually. Also joining us is Segun Shukbita. He's a current affairs analyst and joins us live in the studio. Gentlemen, a very good morning to you, and thank you so much for coming on, and compliments of the season. Let's have a thorough look at 2025. Hopefully the 1 hour will help us in terms of policy as we look at power policy and public trust. And let me start with you, Devo, right? And just let's start with the ruling party's defense of the 2025 reforms that have shaped, public perception of governance. What do you make of the ruling party and all that they've done in terms of governance?
Thank you for having me once again, and Merry Christmas to everyone in the studio and our audience. It's really been, what I call it, a hectic year. As they say, when it rains, it pours, and the APC, I would say in terms of political score sheets, in terms of politics, they have scored pretty well. I mean, if you just go by the gale of defections from other political parties, literally what should have been Nigeria's credible opposition, the APC has found a way to snooker, especially at the highest level of subnationals, that's state governors. I think about 6 of them crossed over from the PDP into the APC, making the APC more or less a behemoth in Nigeria. Now, whilst in one hand we are, in terms of political dexterity, when there's time, we would discuss what was the icing on the cake or the honey that attracted all these governors and top officials. Remember, it's not just governors. You also have legislative men and women moving over into the APC from the Labour Party, from the PDP, as well as the NNPP, all crossing over into the APC. So in terms of political dexterity, I would say, yes, the APC has played well in politics, but it must be said, politics, was it not about the people? Is it not about the leadership and the governance of the people? And you cannot say you have good politics if the governance is below zero, is substandard, is failing. And when you begin to compare or highlight levels of governance in, let's start with the subnationals, you begin to see that many of our states, despite increased revenue, have not done too well. You cannot be presenting the same level of delivery when your budget was 50% less and saying that you have delivered. What did you do with the money? You cannot be saying that you've been able to deliver the dividends of democracy, and many of our subnationals are suffering high levels of insecurity because, like Tinubu did say during the End Bad Governance protest to the people, that, look, I just have the federation budget. The remaining 50% lies with the states because the states who bully the local governments have more or less 51% control of that resource. So to a large extent, the power lies in those men who call themselves chief security servants of the states. By extension, if the chief servants of security officers of the states have not been delivering security balance and stability, then you begin to ask what happened to our own representatives. And those are the 390 representatives in the House of Reps and about 109 senators who are supposed to be representing their constituencies. And what we have seen across this year is an establishment of, what I call it, we're being nice by calling them a rubber stamp assembly. We have destroyed democracy completely, because democracy has two legs. It has leadership and it has what they call the followership, or the base of the masses of the people. Why do we say a democracy is a government of the people, by the people, for the people? It shows you the people play a major role. And those who are at the front, who are representatives, who we presume were elected, are meant to be representing, mirroring the eyes and the views of the people. But what we have seen is, how do we call it, a shifting of goalposts, whereby members of the opposite team started playing own goals. Members of the legislative started speaking always in the interest of the executive, not expressly as to what Nigerians felt. To the extent that if we start looking at all the laws they have broken, all the laws that they have denied, they have played a blind eye to, all the situations which they have tried their best to make it look like, the executive have not done anything wrong, then we as a people, we literally, that's where we have lost our hope. So what this does is that, though you've seen a lot of politicking or politricking amongst political parties and elected officials at different levels of government, be it the federal, the state, or even the local governments, which they've still kept crippled and moribund, we cannot say that that level of astute politricking has led to equal and commensurate delivery of justice, equal and commensurate delivery of security, equal and commensurate delivery of distributed economic gains.
So, Devo, now a quick question for you before I move to Mr. Shopperton here in the studio with us. If you want to compare what's happened throughout 2025, how underwhelming has governance been? How underwhelming has the executive or legislature been at their efforts at reform? If you're going to give it a score.
I like the word reform. You would have thought that with a rubber stamp assembly, maybe they could have passed the laws of state policing by now. But we've had different NEC meetings, we've had different state of council meetings, we've had different Nigerian group of governors, NGF. We've had different meetings all on insecurity. Yet we've not been able to equip our states with adequate security to be able to quell and address the insecurity we're facing as a people. It took the presence or the intervention.
How underwhelming would you say it has been? Because I want to link that to a question I have for Segun here in the studio. So if you were going to give it a score out of 10, or if you want to compare it to the previous year.
I know you're going on a scale of 1 to 10. I would give it 2 over 10.
2
because
over 10.
Literally,
and this is how
2
far,
over 10.
This is how far down from what we were the previous year. The previous year, you'd say it was what?
Yes, because the two cardinal issues that could have made the major difference in this democracy, one, local government autonomy, okay, which is where governance is best felt. They've kept that crippled till date. They've not been able to pass it. Right. Secondly, state policing, which was supposed to bring a balance, which was supposed to bring an improvement, some efficiency, some effectiveness in security. Look at where we are now.
Okay, then
as they say, our backs are wide open, and foreign bodies, foreign partners are sending missiles into our land. Never heard of before. It's abominable. 2 over 10 is even an understatement. I think it's even below 0, because we must say what the legislative have a job to do. And if they're not doing their job, clearly we are failing as a people. We're failing as a nation.
All right, Devo, it's very difficult to get you to stop, but thank goodness I have now. But thank you very much. Great submissions. So, Segun, based on what Devo has said when it comes to governance, the lack of it, or the lack of reform generally, how does this translate to people currently, their trust, their preference, or even who they would like to see come 2027 in governance?
Well, politics, so a lot of the things that Devo has said has hinged around the politics, and all of that. And at the end of the day, the politics should be about the people and the delivery of good governance to the people. And unfortunately, we're far off the mark. We're almost like a boat that is adrift. And the people can feel this. They can feel it in their daily lived experiences. And I think that I hear a sense of despondency when you speak to people, when you interact with people. You go on TV shows like this where there's a calling opportunity and people calling, and the sentiments that you hear is one of almost hopelessness. despite the narrative that is being pushed very aggressively by the government, talking about renewed hope, you know, running campaign jingles, you know, trying to tell people that we've turned the corner, you know, and all of that. But the lived experience is anything but. You know, so you find that the people are thinking to themselves, which way forward? What's the way out? You know, 2027 is approaching, and if you scan the landscape, you struggle to find one single figure that you can say is a beacon of hope that people can align behind and hope that maybe that person would come save them. The opposition is in absolute, complete chaos and disorder. You have politicians jostling for ambition without necessarily thinking about how their actions will result in an outcome that is different from what we've experienced in the last 3 years.
Have we ever seen the kind of cross-carpeting that we saw in 2025 ever in Nigerian history, political history? Before?
I mean, it's alarming. If you are an observer and somebody that's followed Nigerian politics, you know, for long enough a time, this has never happened. You know, if you do a count today, out of 36 states and the FCT, you've got 30. You know, it's 28 at the moment that are APC governors, right?
So the argument must be that if we've never had this kind of an experience before, then it must be good for Nigeria. Because from everything else we've tried, whether there's opposition or with all the opposition we've had from before, it's still been bad. What if we had unity in the APC alignments that we see going on?
The entire premise of democracy is about contest of ideas, you know, for the votes of the people. And how can there be a contest if there's only one party? So it can't be good for Nigeria to have 30 of the 36 states in one party. You know, especially the type of democracy that we practice in this country, the votes are determined by the governors to a very large extent. Whoever controls those governors' votes will win. So at the moment, you struggle to see how, in spite of the abysmal performance of this administration, you struggle to see how they can be punished, in quotes, by the people by voting them out. Because there's no pathway to that at the moment.
What does that say about powers in being able to sow the seeds that he's sown so much and being able to lure over 28 governors and also disintegrate all the opposition in its entirety?
It's a form of politics that is
diabolical.
Is diabolical and is counterproductive, even at the end of the day to his own interests. You know, because at the end of the day...
Why do you say counterproductive?
You know, first of all, how do these defections, how have they happened? It's been a mix of everything. You know, it's almost as if there is no floor that you can't go below. So it's a mix of coercion, cajolment, enticement, you know, using of EFCC, using of state of emergency and the threats thereof, you know, and all of that to win people over to your party. So it's almost as if, look, it's the ambition for 2027 re-election and nothing else matters. You know, you can destroy and desecrate our constitution. You can destroy and desecrate the institutions of state and government. The judiciary is captured. The legislature is captured. All on the altar of winning the next election. You know, this is not a democracy anymore. This is really just about the ambition of one man and a few of his, you know, acolytes and all of that. And Nigeria is the loser because if a president or a party does not have the fear that they could lose the next election, then what's the incentive for doing well by the people? Why should they bother to try and put in policies in place that people will say, oh yes, this is amazing, I want to vote for them again? They know they don't need us anymore because as it stands today, unless something dramatic happens, you know, the APC wins in 2027.
It makes you wonder at the core of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and its administration. One of the things that he's done is he understands perception and PR and media and how it's always good to talk to the people, but he uses his media team. And the narrative has been the economy is recovering, we're on a path of progress, we're on a path of prosperity, but this is again, we're on a year-on-year decline in terms of celebratory mood when you see Christmas, people not being able to spend money, people not being able to travel. So I do have to ask that, did this administration lose focus in terms of power, getting more when it comes to power? They want to be more focused on power and they shift their base to power instead of economy.
Absolutely, you know, and I wouldn't necessarily characterize this as a loss of focus. I don't think the focus was ever about the people and governance. You know, and to make that point that you started with, I was just speaking with my wife just yesterday as we were driving through my estate. And, you know, it was shocking. It was evening, and I could count. This is an estate that has about 300 buildings. I could count literally less than 5 houses. It's a middle-income estate, so it's not poor people.
You're right.
Right? Only less than 5 had Christmas lighting outside their homes.
I knew that was going to be where you were going.
It's crazy because I was saying, look, last year it wasn't like this in my estate, right? And that's a very simple, subtle indicator as to where we are. Things are worse. Regardless of what the president has been saying and his team, things have gotten worse.
I want to find out from Devo. Devo, do you have Christmas decorations out this year? Devo?
I'm not sure I received cows and goats like we did before. I guess ever since the cost of living crisis came on board, Christmas has gotten dampened for the majority of Nigerians. Now, this is not to say it hasn't gotten better for some. As you can see, even the Dirty December festivities create an alternate planet.
Yeah, exactly. I was telling Judith that the other day, but she doesn't believe me. But Judith, before we go into that argument,
just a second. My name has been pointed out here. I have to defend myself. I feel like Nigerians, the locals, you know, we were day here, you know, we know the realities. The IJGBs are on a different purchasing power as opposed to us. If you convert $1 to a naira, that's what, 1,500? They're on a different plane. And so the hospitality sector are enjoying themselves to a maximum. But also the price have also changed as well to accommodate those people as well. And so I still strongly believe that Dirty December, the markups will still be high in terms of influx and sales, but it's not the same for the locals.
But that's not your question, Devo. Devo, let's bring it back now. Let's talk about the review for 2025 as we discuss democratic process and election integrity, especially election integrity. This year we saw a new INEC chairman in the name of Professor Amukita from before. Of course, we know who it was. Only this year he is now an ambassador, a diplomat. And many wondered whether this was not a scheme to reward for your good job from last year. So it brings the question integrity in our election process. For 2025, how did we fare with everything that happened? Have we brought the masses closer to the process of elections? Do they trust any better than they did the previous year? Or do you think it's gotten worse as we move towards 2027, Devo?
Yes, I'm afraid elections and electioneering will only mirror what we have been saying about our type of politics. And to what we had said earlier, Nigeria descended from a democracy into what we call gangsters as Democrats. And I say that, and I repeat myself, gangsters as Democrats, whereby, you know, most times we say the ideology is not about the people. Yes, that's true, and it has to be accepted because we were all here when the PDP was in power, and the APC used the tools of propaganda, not just to bring down the PDP, but to enlighten people and expose the rot in the PDP. Now, what happened when they got into power? What happened is, it's not like the APC changed, but the same way they put the watchful eyes on the presidency and governance when they were in opposition, they kept quiet about it during the Buhari years. And what you saw was even internally within the APC, they had their own divisions, which led to the philosophy of Emiloko, which was basically with the transition of Buhari into Tinubu. It was a case of, okay, well, since you didn't let me perform as we had planned, now it's my turn. It's my theater. Allow me to act. I don't want to hear pim from anybody. Now, what that has led to is, like I said, my way or the highway, whereby even if Tinubu is playing the politics of quelling the opposition, okay? I lay the responsibility even on the opposition. If you were better than the ruling party, like the APC was better than the PDP when they were in power, you wouldn't falling for the cookies, falling for the pies and the honey and the milk that they have been giving you. And we're all aware of how keeping your second tenure was put on the table. Even if it was your second tenure, your candidate that you had in mind was put on the table simply because the government was going to maneuver or manipulate the instruments of the INEC, okay, the organs of election, manipulate the organs of the police, manipulate the organs of the security forces during elections. Professor Muputan, who is the new INEC chairman, he had his first day on the table during the Anambra elections. I mean, we don't have time to even go through all the mishaps that took place. Now, my issue, okay, is that as we keep promoting gangsterism in government, in politics, what we are doing is that we're killing that word despondency. We're killing the level of apathy grows higher. Okay, meaning, for example, who comes out for local government elections again? That shows you a level of federative politics is dead. Okay, we move to the state level. Now, we're still debating whether we should compound the presidential and the state elections on the same day, because what we have seen is many people concentrate only on the federal presidential elections. Then on the state elections, it's literally most people don't come out. What you're seeing is the complete disappearance. Now, what happens is that if everybody moves to one side and there's not really a fiery or strong opposition out there, it's not about numbers now, it's about even presence. Prior to this time, remember, like I said, APC was the playbook for opposition politics in Nigeria. Clearly, the PDP, the Labour Party, the NMPP have not been able to learn from the good books of the APC. How much noise, and when I say noise, how much clamor, how much opposition? Take a look at their members in the National Assembly. Right. Anytime there's a point for them to stand up and to send a strong signal that there's a different view, a different perspective to what is happening, many of them comply. Many of them cave like a... Yes, please. Yeah,
you set the tone, so I'm going to let Mr. Shukpito take it from here, right? Mr. Shukpito, you said something earlier, and you said that governors are the ones who sort of secure the elections at presidential level. And what we're seeing this mass defections with 28 states. Will a new INEC chairman make a difference? And we've also seen how the off-cycle elections have been marred with, low voter turnout and one will say voter apathy. Do you see this new INEC restoring confidence in voters to come out en masse and vote? And even if they come out en masse and vote, will they follow the ways of their governors? Mr. Shukpito. Well,
to start with, the person of the new INEC chairman, from all that we've heard about him, person of integrity, very cerebral, and all of that. So you will think
Wike was once integrity as well.
Absolutely. And you will think that would mean, hopefully, that things would get better with the administration or elections. However, if you then juxtapose that with what's happened with Mahmoud Yakubu, right? I mean, it's a very powerful signal to send to an umpire who is supposed to be unbiased, right? That as soon as he's done with his tenure, there's an ambassadorial position waiting for you. So everything is wrong with just the optics of that alone. And that already sets a tone in the minds of the people like, look, it's a waste of time, right? So the apathy that we have seen in the past, 28% turnout, for the 2023 elections, and even that number, is in question as to the integrity thereof, will probably get worse because people have lost faith completely. The only way out, of that and what will bring the confidence of the people back is for the National Assembly to do what they need to do and take some powers away from INEC, the power of discretion with regards to how to administer the elections and how to transmit results. We have to have elections where results are being displayed in real time. It's possible. It's done all over the world, right? You monitor the United States elections and you are seeing state by state.
The colors were changing.
The colors are changing in real time by county, right down to the county level. You are seeing the votes coming in. If we don't go to that, then people are going to just stay at home.
Yeah, but that's not fail-proof, is it? No, I mean, because tech is,
I mean, it's never.
Nothing is fail-proof.
Never.
But seeing the measures that happened in entirety of 2025 and seeing how the governors are vote affected and assuring votes in the millions.
Absolutely.
With or without turnouts.
Absolutely.
Do you think that the INEX chairman's integrity and being a man of principle and word will be relevant in this situation?
All absolutely, without wanting to sound like doom and gloom and all that, it's all absolutely
back end of a ball.
Useless, because we know from right now that the votes will probably not count and the governors will deliver the votes that are needed, whether people come out to vote like you said or not. And that has to be the focus. Look, if this president is somebody who is legacy-minded, as some people tend to want us to believe, gaslight Nigerians into thinking that way, then he will be thinking about his place in history and how he will leave the country and its electoral process. But unfortunately, our politicians don't think about legacy, don't think about their name, what history will say about them. They think about their own ambition, so...
I've got a very interesting question here.
Yeah.
Based on perhaps maybe conversations you've had with regular people of different class, what did they think about Mahmoud's acceptance of that position as a diplomat? Now that's one. On the other hand, do you think, with all the accolades we've given Amopita, who've talked about him as a cerebral person, that if after his tenure as INEC chairman, do you think he will accept such a position as Mahmoud did?
I think that if you look at the evidence of history, and the best way to predict what will happen in future is to look at what's happened in the past. It's one of the most effective ways. And if you look at that, you will think that, I feel sorry for Amokutan already. I think that his integrity, everything he's worked for in the last 50-something years of his life is probably going to be washed down the drain at the end of this already, even before now. Wow. Just because the system that he's coming into...
It's very worrying, right? If you look at the former governor, one-time Minister of Power and Housing, and that's, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, and seeing how, all that played out during the NSARS, this is a man who was rightfully respected by Lagosians, and because of how much work he had put into Lagos, he went on to take two parastatals, even though, that's a different conversation entirely. But every single person who decides to sort of kiss the ring, they give up something.
Absolutely.
And it's concerning. Do they not worry about legacy, or is it because Nigerians are myopic, or we have amnesia and we forget?
You can't be too absolute there in that submission. So let's...
I take it back. I take it back.
I think it's a matter of the system more than anything else. I think that the system forces on people a situation where they are pretty much helpless. And we can count, we can keep going. Let me give you another example. Professor Yemi Oshibajo. Before he became vice president, look, you lap up every word that this guy, even during the presidency of Buhari, this guy was a shining light in quotes. He said all the right things. He would post a picture of him engaging with some ordinary guy in far distant Sokoto. He would post a picture of himself and his wife, and that resonated with people. People loved this guy to a certain degree. Where is he now? Where's his integrity? Where is his honor? I guess you could argue, and some people, who defend things like this would argue that, look, the man is still right there, he's right up there. But I think that Nigerians have found him out.
You believe the Nigerian system is made to break.
So it will cost you. It will cost you eventually. And you can look at all the people with integrity before they went into office and what's happened to them afterwards. And it's a very sad narrative.
It was on call. Someone said that I have too much high moral of myself and that I've not been tested yet.
When money touch you.
I said, let the money touch me. Let me see.
Let's come back to you. Let's start something else. Let's talk about federal power and state autonomy here. I was actually going to talk about, let's talk about federal power and state autonomy. Let's take a look about the balance of authority when it comes to federal versus state. Let's use one state in particular. Let's talk about Rivers State and what happened with the emergency rule declaration. What does that tell us about the balance of power between Abuja and every other state? How does that disturb democracy in itself, if it does?
Well, yes. You know, now in hindsight, we can talk about river states easily. However, it's the worst lesson in politics whereby a country, meaning from the presidency down to the National Assembly that endorsed it, actually endorsed the manipulation of our constitution to purport state capture. Remember what we were told, that there was imminent crisis? Not even a pint of blood was spilt, and yet a state of emergency, troops were moved in, and in quotes, under the measures of extraordinary measures, a state governor and the legislative were suspended. Now, the debate of that came 9 months after even the suspension was removed. Now, so there's no point debating the wrong that was done, okay? Now, what was even left of the states? Because you see, we need to begin to connect political actions with the outcomes. Okay, at the end of the day, the suspension was lifted. We now heard the undercurrents of what really happened, and then the governor, that's Fubara, now becomes a puppet of the state's machinery, whereby to the extent that him and his oppressor, the FCT minister, former governor, now come out with two hands saying that the fight is over. Whose fight is over? Is it between two politicians or within the people who are supposed to be the beneficiaries, the river state? They're the ones I pity. And the point here is, you see, at the end of the day, we can spend the whole day talking about our politicians, but we actually need to spend more time talking about the people, the Nigerian people, the masses, at the federal level, at the state level, like you mentioned. Tell me how much the people of river states, how far their state has grown. I mean, I call myself an adopted son of river states because I grew up in Port Harcourt at a particular time in my life. I went back there about last year, and literally, I could not see development, okay? When you only develop this capital city, you have not developed a state, okay? When you build one or two roads to a few popular politicians' hometowns, you have not developed the state. What I expect to see is that I expect to see, I even passed the road, the east-west road that was supposed to be the artery for transportation in the Niger Delta. Despite the Minister of Niger Delta, despite the NDDC intervention, despite the 13% derivation, despite the allocation that was increased that's coming to the states, the Niger, the east-west road is still moribund. If the Cameroon dam is opened once again, that excess water will cascade and make nonsense once more of the Niger Delta that provides 85% or to 90% of our FX revenue in the country. Our states are not developing. The same level of gangster politics at the federal level is taking roots. It's even worse at the state level. Because the state assemblies are caricatures. Yes.
Devo, apologies. I'll have to cut you because we have run out of time and we would like Segun's submission here on this matter. So Segun, if you do not mind and if you can be summary, what do you think about the balance of power between the federal and the state? How does that affect the people themselves? What are we looking at come 2027? Will this change? Will the people change it?
On that, this precedent, and this is very critical, you know, it's winner takes all. It's a zero-sum game, you know. There is no balance of power. The power is overwhelmingly concentrated at the center now, and the states are almost as badly an appendage of the federal government as the local governments are appendages of the states now. What's happening at the state level is that they are all kowtowing to the center, to the federal level, because of their personal ambitions, either because they want a second term, or because they want to go to the Senate, or because they want to install somebody.
To the cross-carpeting of
yes,
governors.
exactly. You know, so at the end of the day, the ultimate losers are the people. You know, because ordinarily the people should be at the center of all of these conversations.
So are the people cross-carpeting carpets as well? Are they moving as their governors
they're
are
confused.
They're
looking left, they're looking center.
Isn't it stomach infrastructure? It's all about stomach infrastructure when it comes to the locals.
For the locals.
You know, for the locals. And I think at the grassroots level, local government levels, and LCDA, you see that is all about stomach infrastructure.
Absolutely.
When you go to local council areas and those places where you see them all lined up outside, they're waiting to be shared smoke, so they can vote.
That you just said is very relevant, but the truth is, when you leave the LCDAs and you go home, in your homes, did you cross carpet? Did you move to another party?
Is stomach infrastructure?
I don't agree that.
Look, the people,
Infrastructure, stomach,
the people do not, at the moment in Nigeria, the people are not really about the parties.
I'm sorry, but we're being run off the stage. We're being run off the stage. I do apologize. We want to take this conversation further, but we can't. We might have to reschedule it because we have breaking news in Sokoto, where we have Jamil Mabai, who is at the location of one of the strikes. Well, we don't know if this was one of the strikes that went off or not, but we have information that some strikes went off in desolate places that have no records of any bandits or terrorists, or whatever you want to call them, while others actually landed and they had no demolition. So thank you very much, Devo, and thank you very much, Shegun, for coming through inside the studio.
Devo, public affairs analyst, and Shegun Shukbitan, he is current affairs analyst as well, giving us insight as we looked at the politics for 2025. Let's switch gears now. Jamil Mabai is live, joining us from one of the sites of the airstrike drones that was carried out by the U.S. Jamil. Jamil, please go ahead with your update.
All right, I'm at the second location where the second bomb was dropped, and it's from where I am. It's like less than a kilometer away from where I'm standing, and I don't know if you can see there is a police vehicle under that shed, and the military vehicles have been taken in 3 specific locations. Stopping any person. I don't know if you can zoom the camera a bit up to it, maybe you can have a glance at the area. So, like I said earlier, just like where the first bomb dropped, it's an open farmland with no casualty, with no building or car that was hit. Also here in the second place where the second bomb dropped in Jabo local government, in Jabo community, it's an open farmland with no residential area, with no any movement or sign of people living in that area. It's just an open grazing field that the second bomb also dropped. And I confirmed from the military people that were stationed, they are trying to defuse the second bomb. And we even begged them to allow us to get closer to the area. They said it's very risky because the bomb, they're yet to defuse it, so it's risky. We have to wait for their engineers, people that will come and defuse it. That's probably when they can allow people to have access to that particular location. But like I said, one striking question is, what happened with the coordinates? Did they get the coordinates right, or what happened that, the strike, given the tweet from Donald Trump that it was a success, but here we are in the 2 locations within the Jabo community where the bomb landed. The first place you've seen it, where they put do not cross, 50% do not cross area, nothing was hit, no casualty. In fact, the entire community of Jabo has no record of presence of ISIL or ISIS or Lakarawa ever been in this area at any material time. So, but to even confirm this, I'm being joined by one of the community members who was able to be among the first persons to be on ground when the incident happened. Zoom out a bit. So, men in Amity. Now, Salaam alaikum. Namuna on the Sokoto state. Men in the Mutate, when the bomb in the heart and the noni, no, net unit. At a king Abanga Gunduma Barkini village. Nunama in a bomb in your part. Na biyun ya zo ne yana kan gurin yanzu ma'aikatan tsaro wato sojoji kenan da 'yan sanda duba da cewa ana tunanin wannan na biyun bai fashe ba shi yasa suka hana kowa zuwa wurin. Ka je wajen jiya kai? Jiya yana wurin sosai. Ka gan shi? Na gan shi ido da ido yanzu haka ma yana da hoton shi a cikin waya. Ya girman bom ɗin? In girman shi gaskiya zai kai kama misalin a ce jarka ta sa mai guda 2 a haɗa su. Ka gane ko kamar girman turmi haka na daka. Babban turmi haka. Da ya faɗi ya yi rami a ciki ko
ko kawai ƙasa ya faɗi. So sai ya rame ya shige ciki a ƙasan. Dan mai gonan ma da ya zo yana kokarin ƙonowa sai ya gan shi sai aka je aka nemo mutane suka gani daga baya sai aka nemo jami'an tsaro suka zo suka yi handling insecurity. Okay. Nuna mun hoton. So when he told me this is the second area where the bomb blast happened, and he went there and he saw the bomb. He said the bomb is very big by all sizes, and it makes a deep hole in the ground, but it did not go up. And the bomb was found by a farmer who came to the farm, then he saw it and he raised alarm. So like I said, the military are trying to defuse the bomb. And I don't know if you can see, let me try, here is the picture of the bomb he has shown. I don't know if you can see it. Oh. Yeah, but we'll hang around and try to see probably if later we can have access to where the bomb actually is before
okay,
the
then, Jamil.
Jamil,
I do hope you can hear me, Jamil. While you're hanging around, can you confirm to us if there was casualties? Did this strike hit its target, or did it get other unintended casualties?
The strike did not hit any target. The strike did not hit any intended target, and it did not hit any building or any train that will cause damage to the area. Both the two strikes here landed in an open farm field with no building, with no trees, just open farm field, like you can see. It's just
okay,
open.
That's one question. The other question, Jamil. The other question, Jamil, is you say that the ordnance, the bomb ordnance crew are trying to defuse the bomb. Now I'm wondering, this is an American bomb, hence American technology. Now these are Nigerian bomb disposal ordnance, and I'm wondering if they have the technology to defuse these bombs, or do they have the American authorities with them as well?
Or assistance from them?
Well, that I can't say that for now. But I've spoken to one of the military guys stationed there when he was telling us how risky are the places. That's why they cannot allow us. He said off record that he thinks it looks like a bunker bomber, the one that was used in Iran or whatever. I doubt because I'm yet to see that, and unless only experts can tell out of bomb that was used. But like I said, it's just police vehicles and military vehicles, and we are yet to see the engineers for us to establish that, okay, they have the expertise or they are being helped by the Americans to come and defuse the bomb. But probably this is why it's taking much longer, you understand, because he said their crews are coming over. Maybe that's why it's taking much longer. They're trying to get all the necessary experts to be deployed so that they can defuse the bomb without letting the bomb going, up.
Jamil, I must say thank you for taking out the time to join us, and just so much, and well done on the hard work you've done so far. We will definitely keep tabs with you throughout the entirety of today as you continue to just get more info about these locations of the airstrike. Jamil Mabai there, our correspondent live from Sokoto, just at the scene of the drone airstrikes that was carried out by the U.S. on Christmas Day. Let's go on a short break, shall we? When we come back, we tie the show nicely with a bow for you for Christmas. After the break, stay with us.
For a penultimate weekday, I keep saying weekday, weekend, here for 2025 on Breakfast Extra. Well, we're slowly coming to the end of today's one. Very interesting one so far, and so much that we couldn't finish discussing on here today, but that we will be discussing. Something that has always been, we've been going back to Jamil back and forth. Now, you just confirmed that they were actually drone strikes. I didn't think that they were drone strikes, so I thought that was a totally different thing. But first off, it's a level of investment for me that I'm very interested in knowing exactly to what end. If you're going to have drone strikes in Africa, that's very expensive, first of all, and you're committing as a sovereignty yourself. That's the US now. What are we giving back? And how exactly do you miss targets with drone strikes? Right. Is my big question.
So, I mean, before the break, and even earlier on the show, I said this, that we now know that the targets that they had were not correct. They missed their targets.
This is Nigerian intelligence, by the way.
This is a declassified intelligence that we know that was put out by their intelligence. They missed their targets. That's not what they're supposed to target. The question is, was that the ordinates that they got in the beginning? Who gave them the ordinates? What intelligence do they have to make them believe that those designated places that they struck where Lukarawa and ISIS and ISWAP are located? That's another conversation. But also, at the start of Trump's campaign and even into presidency, we did talk about Project 2020 and the fact that Project 2020 was his mandate or manifesto, and the pressure group that is responsible for Project 2020 are an evangelical nationalist. Their agenda is hegemony, which is white supremacy, and Christianity. And so what we're seeing in terms of birthrights, the camping up of immigrants and, cleansing, that's how I keep it as, and also this campaigning or this championing of Christian cause is all instructive of Project 2020. Go read up about Project 2020 and understand it. This is not necessarily about the sake of Nigerians or for the sake of Africans or Christianity or humanity. This is a bigger agenda that is bigger than Nigeria. And I hope that we're doing the right thing in terms of our diplomacy.
Well, I don't like sounding absolute in these kinds of cases. I always like to make sure that there is a leeway for a bit of doubt or at least evidence.
Very
so
good.
I will wait until
do you have
evidence.
Doubts that do you have doubts that IJGBs came back in full force?
She switched the topic again. Evidence will be when
have you seen the videos of Queen Charlotte of the Bridgertons? Okay, and Ayo Edebiri and the other guy on this show just casually on Lagos streets taking photographs. Lagos is it. Look, Anthony Joshua just finished a fight, and the next night I see him exercising in Lekki Phase 1. Don't play with me right now.
He's Nigerian. He has no other home.
Where's Queen Charlotte from?
We will wait until budget puts out stats, as always, and then we will tell whether this year.
But this one, they are showing you their true color. I think it's not what you think it is.
It's targeted instances. Targeted instances. You're like, okay, let's see what he's going to do. Oh, he's in Nigeria. He's one out of 1 million people that should be in Nigeria. Maybe the remaining 999,999 people aren't in Nigeria, but you targeted him out and say, okay, look, IJGB is in Nigeria. But let's wait for stats. Anthony Joshua I'm talking about.
I just called Queen Charlotte. I just called Ayo Edebiri. And by the way,
so that's 999,990.
Wizkid is an IJGB. He's no one as good like my boy.
We will not agree on this, so we're waiting for the stats. Perhaps it will be out by next week, which will be a weekend in 2026. We look forward to it, but we have one more weekend to cross, and that's the Sunday edition for Breakfast Extra. We hope you join us. You must, because that will be the final one, and we'd like to celebrate the end of 2025 with you.
Oh, thank Jesus. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much for watching our Saturday edition. Watch out for tomorrow's.
Bye for now.